Well, good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to Super Old Games Saturday. I'm Captain D-Trag, and this is your weekly destination for classic gaming goodness we have here every Saturday night at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Tonight, we are having the viewer request for November. It's a very special occasion for this one. You're going to see on the screen what it is. This is the Magical Quest starring Mickey Mouse for the Super Nintendo. This came out, actually, technically today, 30 years ago. Yeah, we're recording the show on November 19th, 2022. But at the time we're recording this, it is now November 20th in Japan, which is 30 days, or 30 years to the day, of the release of this Super Nintendo platformer that was developed by Capcom. I believe it was the Super Ghouls and Ghosts team. You're definitely going to see some parallels to that, as well as other elements of Capcom. And it was the first indication of Mickey Mouse for Super Nintendo, 2 years almost to the day as well, from the Sega Genesis debut of the character in Castle of Illusion starring Mickey Mouse, which we played about 2 years ago. I have a recording of that show. It is linked below, or will be linked below when we put this on the YouTube site. But I figured, well, I first wanted to see this game. I think he has an attachment to the Magical Quest specifically. I remember always seeing this game around and being curious about it, and when I got Super Nintendo in 1995, which was about 3 years after this came out, I went to its sequel, The Great Circus Mystery, first, and I didn't play this actually until this year, so mainly I don't have the nostalgic tie with this one, so I'm going to be upfront about that. That being said, playing through it this week was definitely an interesting experience of getting a sense of why this is a game that is beloved. If you talk to people as far as early gaming of Mickey Mouse, made a great debut for the character on the system, including what we're seeing with the demo here, its main gameplay mechanic, which is the costume system. We will go into that as we go along. And also, before we start, I also want to go into some other aspects, because we are playing the Super Nintendo version of this, but about 10 years later, it came out on the Game Boy Advance, where it was developed by Capcom Production Studio 3, the same people who made Resident Evil 0 and Clock Tower 3 and Mega Man X7. And it was Nintendo who published that, which was actually the remnants of sorts of a deal that Nintendo had with Disney to make a bunch of Mickey Mouse games, most of which were developed by Rare, actually, which were Mickey's Racing Adventure on Game Boy Color, and then the Game Boy Color and Nintendo 64 versions of Mickey Speedway USA. And there was going to be another one, a Mickey's Adventure game of sorts. Rare ended up not making that because they're working on Star Fox Adventures, which would be their last game under Nintendo. But Nintendo still published a game for it that was developed by Capcom as well. That was The Magical Mirror starring Mickey Mouse for the GameCube, which actually the Game Boy Advance version of this does have linkage to. And also, when I was doing my notes on this, I realized this was going to be coming out on the Sega Genesis as well in 1994. But even though they demoed it at the Consumer Electronics Show that year, I guess Capcom said, no, we're going to abandon this. We'll just release its sequel on Genesis as well for that. So yeah, this game has definitely gotten it around a bit. As I said, we're celebrating 30 years to the day of this title, which I'll go into the background of the people who made it, which was a little bit of an interesting case, and we'll do this before we start because this is actually kind of a short game. We'll definitely go through it. I think we're probably going to go through it twice just to show off certain aspects of its difficulty options. The main players of this game, two of them were not really named, and actually, we'll see this in the credits. A lot of games of this era tended to have or the people who made them go under surnames. And there's only one name that kind of goes to this, but we'll go into that as we go along. Hi guys, hi ElecVerse, so good to see you tonight for Magical Quest starring Mickey Mouse. I know you wanted to see this game for Super Nintendo, we have it. Also, I realized something this week, just to go into this. I know I say we have the tradition of the Thanksgiving program for the showcase. I realized technically we've had the same tradition the week before in the sense that we played a Disney game every week before the Thanksgiving showcase. The first year we had the show, it was for Castle of Illusion. Last year Kingdom Hearts, and now this game, which is celebrating its 30th anniversary today in Japan. And soon enough, as far as the US, probably in about 5 hours. Good to see you, ElecVerse. Hope you're doing well. Feel free to let your memories flow on this one. I know you wanted to see this, and I always say, ask and shall receive in this program. We'll give you whatever you want to see. Now, before we start, as I mentioned, the planners of this game went under surnames, which were Kamecha, Tomohi, and then there was somebody who was named later, which is Hisashi Yamamoto, who did planning on Dino Stalker on the PlayStation 2, as well as UN Squadron on Super Nintendo. And he also did coordination on Bloodborne on PlayStation 4. Yeah, the Dark Souls-like game that was by the people who made that franchise, From Software. And his executive advisor was Tokuro Fujiwara, who was producer on all of the Mega Man X games, or actually all the Mega Man games on Super Nintendo, as well as director on Huien from Konami. I think this first game worked on. So doing designing on Super Ghouls and Ghosts, or Ghosts and Goblins, I should say, and did design on Mad World on the Wii. And you'll see those elements of that, and also worked on Tamba. This is my childhood right here. Well, alright, here we go. Feel free to let us flow as far as what this is. I think I might have said this earlier when I started, but if I didn't, I'll indicate it. Castle of Illusion was technically my childhood. I always saw this game. I was always very curious about it, though, because, as I mentioned, I owned Genesis to start. I got Super Nintendo later. I played this game's sequel at the time. I didn't play this one, but it was always this interesting thing that even though I had the Disney games on the Sega Genesis, I always was curious, a little envious, I guess, of the Super Nintendo players in the sense of, hey, we have what they have, and I guess maybe the thought of, hey, it's not the game I have. I always saw this, like, okay, I'm curious what this is like. I love the Illusion games that Sega had, and Capcom definitely had quality. I played The Great Circus Mystery, which I had a lot of fun playing. And this game, based on what I played this week, I've definitely had a fun time with this one as we're going along with this. And as far as that, I think we can kind of get started as far as how it is. Yeah, basically as far as what it is. Yeah, we're playing on Super Nintendo. It's also on Game Boy Advance, and they're planning a Genesis port. They decided not to make it. This game is truly magical. Fitting. It's named that way. I know you're not the only one who thinks that. We're going on the options. Actually, to that, I actually have issue 100 of Nintendo Power right next to me, where they voted this the 80th best game of all time in 1997, saying, quote, "This tour de force from Capcom was well named because it truly is magical. The rich graphics and inspired play made it one of the finest platforming games for the Super Nintendo." So there you go. You're not alone, and based on what I played of this game, I'm with you. This is definitely a very good game, and a unique one, even against the stuff Sega was doing with the Illusion games, and you're seeing a little bit of that at the top of the screen. The costume mechanic, 88th, wow, or actually 80th, actually, 80. I should indicate that. 88th, by the way, was Baseball Stars for the NES from SNK. Actually, I believe, oh no, I'm thinking, okay, because I was going to say that some of the people who did the music for this game worked on Bases Loaded, not Baseball Stars. But yeah, that was their 80th game as far as their favorite for 1997. That was September 1997 for that issue. At some point, I guess I could feasibly just read off the whole thing. We'll do that later, because we have a game, obviously, to play. As I mentioned, this is also the Still That's Good. And it was interesting to see that, because as far as other stuff with Disney game representation, 79 was another Capcom Disney joint, which was Chip 'n Dale Rescue Rangers. And we just see this going through, because, yeah, it goes to one thing, which is that when it came to Disney and early gaming, the thought is that, maybe you got games that might not have been so hot with certain things, and there are definitely cases of that, but even so, there definitely was a lot of quality that was put into them, and yeah, those are the only two Disney games they had on their list that way for that time. And that was 1997, to think that was about 25 years ago, and yeah, it's 30 years to the day, pretty much, as far as Japan is concerned for this one. But yeah, it's still good, and it is a very good game. Good enough, it got a GBA port, which does fix one of the problems this game has, as well as was developed by the people who made Mega Man X7 and Clock Tower 3 and Resident Evil 0. That was Capcom Production Studio 3. Yeah, well, let's talk about this and get started. Okay, so here we go. Let's talk a few things. We have our difficulty. You play on easy, normal, and hard. Like with Castle of Illusion, they do adjust this very nicely in the sense that it gives you that great element of challenge, I guess, appropriate for certain audiences as far as, easy you can put on for kids in the sense it makes bosses go down easier, and you have a higher health bar, and it goes increasingly more so as far as normal and hard, and you have more enemies to run into on the higher difficulty. You also have your controls, which are completely customizable. Y button, use a hold and shot. B for jump. Costume change. You do have to use the L and R buttons. They don't tell you that here, but I'm going to change this. I'm putting the X button, and you have your sound option of stereo or monero. And actually, thanks to Capcom, I knew when I ever saw stereo and mono in games, I always said, what does the mono stand for? And then Capcom was like, yeah, here's what it stands for, so getting my education that way. I feel this is appropriate to be playing, considering the Kingdom Hearts games came out on PlayStation Plus Extra this month. Yeah, fitting, absolutely. So I guess the idea of 30th anniversary show, I said, hey, it's fair we do this for the Nintendo debut, or the Super Nintendo debut of Mickey Mouse, like we do the Sega Genesis debut with Castle of Illusion. And maybe, I guess the idea is, since it seems like we're hitting a Disney game the weekend before Thanksgiving each time, maybe we should make this an annual custom too. Feel free to let us know if you're up for that, and basically what you want to see for next year. Although, as we showed when we played Aladdin on Sega Genesis earlier this year, we can do it any time, so it's not going to be a case of, we only going to have one representation of Disney in a year. I played Kingdom Hearts Melody of Memories for the first time earlier. How is that? I think I downloaded the demo on Xbox One. I think I downloaded it on. It's basically their music game that I know has story content that goes from Kingdom Hearts 3, from what I've understood. I'm curious about that. As far as us being able to show that, it has made questions as far as the licensed stuff within it. I don't know, but we can definitely get to that. I think we do have to get an element as far as elements with story because of that. And next Kingdom Hearts game we're going to do is going to be Chain of Memories, or Re-Chain of Memories. I think we might start that if not late next year, then maybe early in 2024, because I know we have to play it for sure. And we'll definitely go through that. I did the credits version of Simple and Clean by Utada. Oh, yeah, I should be remembering your name. Of Simple and Clean, and thought I was going to cry. I guess there's something to be said about that. You're right. The idea of how beautiful the music can be. We showed that last week with Streets of Rage 2. And same with what we're going to see tonight. And also with Simple and Clean, which as I mentioned, for our play of Kingdom Hearts, I don't know if we couldn't show that. I decided not to just because I thought I'm going to get a concentrate for Universal Music Group or something. But there's something to be said about that, the idea of that emotional pull of that song and also of, I guess, your elements of the franchise too. And we'll see what we can do for sure about that. Because I don't want to necessarily limit what we can play as much as I can do it. And we'll have to challenge that a little bit next week with the Racing Showcase we got. Because we got about 4 or 5 games we're going to have to do that with. But there's good to be had with that. And yeah, feel free to go into more stuff with that. Kingdom Hearts and this game for sure. I had a great choice, by the way, ElecVerse for this. And I'm happy delivering it for you. All right, let's get started. So yeah, as the game opens, we have Mickey Mouse, Donald Duck, Goofy, and Pluto playing catch in the park. And you do have 2-player. You can play either way as far as that, which is 2 players alternating the same way Super Mario Brothers is. When a character dies, the second player takes over. But yeah, we're running 1 player for this. We're running normal. And we'll probably come to hard as we go along. All right, let's take a look at what the plot of this game is. It's weird because the song never made me feel that way emotionally, but being interactive in terms of it makes it more impactful. And there's something to be said about that, the idea of creating that, having that connection with music, especially with the music game for it, where you have that attachment in a way that is unique. So there's something to be said about that for sure, and it is a good song as it is. I'll put a link to that below as far as that version, just so there's going to be a reference to it. As we're seeing the idea that, yeah, we're playing catch, but Goofy is saying, like, no, I'm going to throw the ball, but he threw it too far, and he said, like, fine. Pluto went away, I'm going to moonwalk my way away, saying, I'll find him, don't worry. Mickey's saying, I'm not worried, don't worry about it. I mean, if Goofy says he'll find him, he'll find him. Or, maybe not. Maybe he's doubting that. So far, I like the game better than I thought it would. Or, yeah, I like the game better than I thought I would. Yeah, there's something to be said about that as well, when it can be kind of a surprise that way. Because I know we heard Kingdom Hearts music game. That was a question. I know, considering how much you have a hatred of Kingdom Hearts 3, also with story element, I guess, maybe, the idea of if this is paying off in story, potentially, to get ready for Kingdom Hearts 4, which will probably be out probably 2024 as well. Probably by the time we get to Chain of Memories, we'll be running that. Or seeing that game come around as we play that. Alright, yeah, let's get started. Yeah, here's your map screen, by the way. Looks a little bit like Super Ghouls and Ghosts, or Ghosts and Goblins, which is fitting, because I believe it was the Capcom team that worked on that game, who worked on this, and you can see parallels to it, and I will be sure to point those out. And it's not just that Capcom game. Alright, let's get going. Start stage 1, the treetops. And talk about you're saying magical as far as the setup of this. Yeah, let's get into this right now. When you come in here and you hear the amazing orchestral music coming up here. Yeah, you go. Yeah, you're ready, and we're getting to action. Which is always how the Capcom Disney games tend to do, like with Aladdin. Alright. Yeah, you, Y button is your grab. You can grab onto the little buds here and fly up with them for a little while. Grab the bird and throw them. Yeah, you pick up with the Y button and toss. B is your jump. We got costume changes. We'll have X to do that the way I have it set. Also, you run faster when you go down a hill. It's worth pointing that out. So use that to make some interesting jumps. The music, by the way, is done by Mari Yamaguchi, who did the music for Final Fight 2, which we played earlier this year, as well as Mega Man 5, Breath of Fire, and Super Ghouls and Ghosts, so fitting that way. You can definitely see the parallels of Ghosts and Goblins. Yeah, no question. We'll definitely see that as we go along. In fact, the first mini-boss will see that. There's also Tetsuya Nishimura, who did music on this, who worked on this Super Bases Loaded game on Super Nintendo, as well as Bases Loaded 3 and 4. He did tracks for Mega Man 7, which has some great music in that game. And here's an interesting thing as well, which is last week we mentioned that, who was it for, it was Motohiro Kawashima, who also did music on Streets of Rage 2, who did the music for Advanced Dungeons & Dragons Eye of the Beholder for Sega CD. Yeah, Nishimura did music for the Super Nintendo version, so it fits in that way. And we'll see the elements of that with the parallels to Ghosts and Goblins with it. And interesting to get that idea of thinking that, hey, the Mickey Mouse game, we grab on the door handle, hit Y button, open it, and say that, hey, it's going to be going in parallel with this horror franchise of Capcom's, which I did as far as this week. I was kind of playing around with some of those games on Switch Online, specifically that Super Ghouls and Ghosts. But alright, so here's the wizard of this land. Of course, Mickey's here saying, hiya, pal, looking for my dog Pluto. But, here's another thing. Also, on Game Boy Advance, they do block, the dialogue here does block the character, as far as you don't see Mickey talking, or Minnie, because you can play as Minnie in that game, she plays the same. But yeah, where is Pluto? Have you seen him? Yeah, the wizard's saying, yeah, I have, but yeah, he was kidnapped by the evil ruler of this world, who is Emperor Pete. Yeah, like you mentioned, we played Mickey Mania earlier this year. This is kind of the plot of, oh fine, that was kind of the plot of this game, sort of, a little bit, although this one much more, because unlike Mickey Mania, we're not going to run into Pluto as we go along. So it's like, yeah, we do have to save him from Pete, who usually, is always the case, is causing trouble. He won't give him back to me, so I was like, alright, fine. They're like, okay, yeah, let's see, who is this guy? Yeah, I'll put an evil spell on Pluto, as he tends to do with all of his prisoners, which goes, I guess, to the Ghosts and Goblins thing, too, in that there's definitely the magic element with that differently, for sure, but it's like, yeah, his magic is powerful, it's never been defeated before. So, with all due respect to the wizard here, she's saying, you know what, save yourself, leave your dog be, but Mickey's saying, like, no, I can't do that. Pluto's my best friend, I'm not giving up on him. And they changed this dialogue in the Game Boy Advance version you're playing as Minnie, because basically they do reference the fact that Mickey is Minnie's boyfriend, which I don't know if any other element of Mickey Mouse necessarily explicitly comes out and says that. Maybe they do, maybe they don't. But in that case, like, well, yeah, Pluto's a pal that way for her, but yeah, either way, we're gonna go find him. It's admirable that Mickey will go so far for his friends, especially Pluto, and there's something said about that element, the idea that, you know, and we see this in this game, we've seen actually in a lot of all the Mickey Mouse games we played so far, every game with him in it, even Kingdom Hearts, the sense of just how far will Mickey go, and I think maybe the idea that why is Mickey Mouse been such a inspirational character, one that's still holding up over the years, what degree he'll go, especially when he looks kind of scared. We'll see that with this game, in the sense that he's even looking at the wizard here, just looking at this and saying that, yeah, he's kind of not sure what's going to happen with this, but he's saying, like, fine, I gotta do this, I'm not gonna, you know, screw up as far as this, but also the idea that he's a little bit of a realist in the sense of saying that if Goofy's saying, well, it'll be fine, he's like, maybe no, maybe he's not right. He's like, just in case, we'll make sure of that. I mean, Goofy means well, for sure, and we'll have elements of that. Because, of course, actually, there is a Capcom game with Goofy in it. That was Goof Troop, which Tatsuya Nishimura did the sound design for. It was developed by Shinji Mikami, who made Resident Evil. I've heard that game is awesome. I have not played it, but people recommended that to me multiple times. Definitely could show that off for sure as we go along. But yeah, in order to find him, follow the Emperor's statues to lead him to the castle. Alright, so, thanks a lot. And by talking to him, he'll scatter magical boxes around. Use this as your combat. Whenever you're in trouble, they'll give you help. And be careful of the magic of the Emperor. Alright. And he fades away. Alright, so yeah, when we come out the house, there you go. There are the Mickey Mouse blocks. The yellow ones you can pick up by hitting the Y button on them, or you can jump on them. Actually, do jump up here because there is a hidden area. The gray blocks, by the way, cannot be moved, at least not by grabbing them. We'll see that a little later. And there's heart that increases your health. You start with 3 hearts on normal. It's 5 or 4 or 5 on easy. It's 2 on hard. Releasing the birds like that, you get a coin, and doing that, you get points. Which the points don't really do anything. They don't give you health or lives or anything. So that's the idea. It's also cute that Mickey and Minnie are married in real life and in Kingdom Hearts. Yeah, there's something to be said about that. The evolution of that. I guess with the Disney cartoons or the Mickey Mouse cartoons, you tend to see that. Also, the red blocks, by the way, when you pick those up, they will respawn. Also, you have the enemies, you can pick them up when you stun the guards that way, and they'll kind of bounce on the walls, kind of like the Koopa shells in Super Mario Brothers, except unlike that one, when they bounce back and hit you, you don't get yourself hurt. Yeah, basically just do that and grab on the hooks of the boxes, grab the coins, which are going to be your currency, and see the game slow down. Yeah, there's definitely a lot of slowdown, although compared to Super Ghouls and Ghosts, and a certain other big game that just came out yesterday, we'll get into that later, it's nothing. Well, fine, not massively anything, but yeah, this is also a secret path you can take going on the clouds. If you wait too long, they'll collapse. I guess you should say it's cute that Mickey and Minnie are married in real life, or I should say that since they're no longer with us. I guess no longer with us in that, I guess with what, the, something that happens with Kingdom Hearts, or the idea of what, the characters being looked at differently now? Yeah, feel free to clarify on that as we go along. And you are timed, but it is the case like with Streets of Rage 2 last week. When I pick up the big heart, it does increase your health bar by 1. That it is kind of interesting, I guess, what they're doing with that. I mean, we're talking about that, I guess, a little bit with stuff like that last week. And just seeing what's happening here. Alright, yeah. So just keep going. Enjoy the element. I was just saying, the time limit, yeah, you're never gonna have to worry about that unless you totally dawdle. But not gonna be too bad. Also, I think it does sort of reset when you go between areas, of which here's one area transition. Alright, yeah. So, 1, 2, we're off to this. Yeah, we obviously see the great background here. It's kind of a touch to Mickey and the Beanstalk a little bit with everything in the background there. Right there are the coins. And now we have the tomatoes rolling down the hill, and this is a little bit of a beginner's trip. Oh, the actors who played them were married and they've passed away. Oh, right, Oh, because that would have been, Russi Taylor, who voiced, Minnie Mouse specific, as well as, Wayne Allwine, who voiced Mickey Mouse specific. And we're not getting voices of Mickey in this game. Actually, I don't think any of the Capcom games have voices specific, but you do still get when you get hit by the bees. So it does have that element of feeling that way. And Castle Illusion was the same way. Castle Illusion didn't have the voices of the characters either. But that idea. Yeah, Wayne Allwine and Russi Taylor. Thank you. Because, like, at first, like, wait a minute. But, okay, interesting to indicate that way. Because, actually, I did not know they were married. But, yeah, as you roll on this, you can kind of roll backwards on this. Take the launch up and jump on this. There's a general store up here. I don't think I'm going to have coins to run it. But that's the idea. So this is going to be also the ode, I guess, to them. As picking up the apples for points. And you have a high score for that. Alright, so there is the door. And this is where we're going to see the first general store, although because we're kind of starting early with this, yeah, they don't have much. And that's despite the fact that I have coins for certain things, but yeah, they're sold out of items. We'll come back. We'll come back later. There is a shop in every world, so we'll go and find them as we go along. Alright, here's the first boss, mini-boss. This is the, I guess the winged creature grunt, who looks a lot like, and I'll put a picture when I edit this in a few days, Firebrand the Gargoyle from, Super Ghouls and Ghosts, and also Demon's Crest on Super Nintendo, which, actually, going back to the Nintendo Power 100th issue Best Games of All Time thing, they had both of those games on their list. In fact, even the element of Demon's Crest saying that, you know, this game never sold well to the point where, so they claim, apparently it resulted in negative sales one week because more people returned it than bought it, and now it costs a lot of money on the Super Nintendo. Okay, so there's the link to Russi Taylor's biography. So yeah, it says that way. Alright, thank you for providing that. First, I'll put that in the link list as I'm being totally reckless with this thing. Okay, here's how he works. He will do the dive and he'll throw out the grunts that way. You can pick them up and throw them, but also when you pick them up, and also you're not seeing flashing. Here's the thing I'll indicate. The enemies are flashing for me. I don't think on the video it's coming off for some reason. So I hit him and it's just flashing for a bit of time where he's invincible. And then you have to wait till he becomes whole again, or solid in order to hit him. And when he does that dive, he'll throw them out, and then he'll repeat that. So, yeah, as long as you're careful, which is not always a guarantee with me when it comes to games like this. Although, yeah, it seems like when you have the little thing over their heads, they will start coming back up. And if you're holding them at that point, it's like the Koopa Troopa shells, and yeah, I made a big mistake jumping on them wrongly, so I'm dead. Let's go into the difficulty of this game, and also part of my element, which is that I honestly have not played this game super much, although this week I basically beat this game like 5 times to make sure I'm ready on it, on every single difficulty. Is this a Mickey Mouse game? Yes, it is, Chasm22. Good to see you tonight. This is from Capcom, who made this. It's the Magical Quest starring Mickey Mouse for Super Nintendo that came out on this day for Japan, November 20th. It's November 19th now, but for Japan, November 20th. It's his 30th anniversary, and we were playing it. Good to see you tonight. Hope you're doing well, and feel free to let us know any memories you might have with this game, as well as anything with Mickey Mouse as a character, elements of gaming, elements of, you know, the lore of Mickey Mouse. We were talking about that, and also the idea that, interestingly enough, as I realized this week, out of nowhere, making me realize that, yeah, we have our annual Thanksgiving Showcase program, which is next week, but each week before that, we've had a Disney game every time. Castle Illusion, Kingdom Hearts, and now this one. Yeah, this game can be hard sometimes, especially if you're new to it, and I think the idea is also with my case, I've shown this before. When it comes to a game like this, sometimes it can be very reckless. So, that's the idea. I mean, and I'll go on that difficulty-wise, because I mentioned, okay, crap, they ran right into him, so that's my fault. Like, yeah, be careful. Don't do what I'm doing that way. But this is, I think, simultaneously easier and harder than that game. It's easier in the sense that, unlike that one, you don't have limited continues. You can keep continuing if you get game over. But unlike that one, it's also something that it tends to punish your mistakes worse in some ways. So in that case, yeah, I have to be a bit careful. I've never played this game, unfortunately. It is a good one. I will definitely say that. It is a Super Nintendo game, but they also did a GBA port that enhances it, adds a couple extra stuff, and fixes the slowdown, which is mainly an indication of this. I guess because it's by the people who made Super Ghouls and Ghosts. But as I said, compared to some of the other stuff that runs as far as frame rate, even on Super Nintendo, even Super Ghouls and Ghosts itself, yeah, and I didn't time that right. That's my fault that way. Yeah, it's not too bad. It definitely has that element for it. It's good. Shit, I gotta be careful with this. Yeah, if I keep dying to this boss, it's gonna be embarrassing. I did practice this game. It's like, because I'll say this ElecVerse. Okay, he's dead, thank God. I was waiting for him to die as well. I mentioned this, which is that, when I haven't necessarily played a game as much as the audience has, I'll practice it to be ready for it. I mean, ElecVerse will tell you, I'm already practicing for Contra Hardcore. We're doing that next September I need to practice that now, as I was realizing this week. I was actually running the Japanese version as a little bit of a practice. I got the sense I was sort of getting a little better at it while seeing the bee there. Yeah, walk forward and get him to come here. There's more bees, by the way, on the higher difficulties. As we'll see a little later. Sorry about that. And you go in the water. If you're under the water for too long, you have an invisible arrow meter as normal Mickey, and you'll get hurt. And in this case, I'll die. But there is going to be a way to mitigate that. Coming up a little later. Shit. All right, I was a little off, and that's my problem. One thing I don't like, though, in this game is that Mickey's a bit slow. A little, although the idea is that, in that case, it's something that... Actually, I'm looking in terms of a lot of things in this game this week, as I should be much more careful because I'm on my last life. But, oh shit, no! Yeah, don't do that. Don't let myself fall down on the water, because when you grab a block in water, you're going to fall, and that's going to be a problem. He is slow in the sense that on land, but it's not terrible in terms of that. But also the idea is that when you're running down a slope, he goes faster. So when it comes to going really fast in this game, you kind of take advantage of the slopes when you can for the purpose of being able to pick up speed. So I just got to be careful with the frogs if you jump along. And the hit detection, by the way, is very good. It's just that, yeah, I'm off a bit, so that's my fault. So, like, hey, if I'm making mistakes in this game, I'm not going to blame this game for the purpose of saying, like, hey, I got screwed out of it. It's definitely my elements. Oh, shit. And also, you do slide on that, and then the beaver there, who is building the dam over there, which you can swim under, but, yeah, may as well not now, just because of the fact that, hey, if I go into the water too long, I'm going to be in trouble. And yeah, and there's stars. Those are not items, by the way. I learned that the hard way when I played this game first time. I said, wait, yeah, we picked that up. Like, no, they became live, and they'll start hurting me. But alright, we are going okay. Yeah, in that case, yeah, you can get good movement going that way, and yeah, jump on Pete's guards. Gee, you stun them with an item to pick up, or you just keep jumping on them. So you have an option as far as how you want to run this. Let's go to the next area. This is where the boss is. So we're almost here, and we'll be near where the next area is. And the main gameplay mechanic of this is coming along as we're going to fight the first boss. This is the snake. Again, you're not going to see the flashing of this, I guess because of the way that the game is rendering. I don't know if the Game Boy Advance version would look better in terms of that, but yeah, here he is. He's giving me the thing with the tongue. When he goes red, he'll dash towards, and he'll do the whip there. Make sure you jump out of the way when that happens. Each time you hit him, a part of his body will come off, and then you can pick it up, and... Oh, that was lucky. I really shouldn't have jumped that early. And also, by the way, when he does go red like that, he's invincible, so don't bother tossing something at him. Also, yeah, if you pick that up within time, you can then use that. Basically, just wait till he hits the ground, and then his tail goes, which is a pretty impressive effect. I guess using the element of Mode 7 rotational elements of this console. Hit him enough, by the way, he will go off like this, and then he'll just jump around. And when he's flashing, which again, you can't see, sorry about that, I only realized that when I was doing a test play a few minutes ago. He'll be invincible when he's flashing, but then when he's not flashing, hit him again, and he's dead. Got him. But, okay, that's a weird idea. It's like, yeah, I'm pushing him in the eyes. Like, yeah, look at that perfect shot there. Oh, man, okay, finally, we got him. All right, so that was the first stage done, and we're getting our nice spotlight. All right, good job. So we cleared the treetops. And there are all the coins we got. You do hold the coins. I think you get bonus coins on top of bonus points. But as I mentioned, the other reason I guess this game is harder. Unlike Castle of Illusion, the points do not give you health. Or do not give you lives. Or in the case of that game, they did. The boss music still sends a chill down my spine. Oh yeah, the... It's like, it sounds... I'll tell you what it is. It sounds very magical and, I guess, playful, while also sounding a little sinister. And we mentioned that. That's a good thing. Yes, it is a good thing. And it goes to what we said about Mickey Mouse going back 2 years ago when I did Castle of Illusion, saying the idea that Mickey Mouse is a character that is intended for everyone. There's a case of it being, you know, uplifting and light, but also things that are kind of darker. It's like this element of mystery, this element of danger, the idea that we're entering the dark forest with the nice Disney logoing there, the Disney letters. But to go to the Legend of the Hidden Temple element, but beware of the temple guards that may inhabit the trees. They're not inhabiting the trees, other things are inhabiting them. Alright, here's the wizard. You're doing very well against the Emperor's magic. Sort of. I'm almost at a game over, so no, I don't know if I'm going to say that, but... Hiya, Mr. Wizard! Alright, so, yeah, not that Mr. Wizard. I can put a picture of him specific, but alright, what are you doing here? Well, he's been watching my progress, but this is where the gameplay mechanics of this are really going to take a unique turn, and honestly, might be the most interesting of any of the Disney Mickey Mouse games of this era. Even the Sega ones that I grew up loving. Yeah, you get a costume, the magic turban. Alright, what's it do? Well, with this, you can have the power to use magic. And also, as we mentioned before, when you're under the water too long, you get hurt. But when you run in this, you can be underwater forever. Use it wisely. You're hearing the great music here again. The idea of, yeah, this is kind of this medieval adventures of going in the forest. Doesn't look so dark now, but it's going to change. Alright, here's our costume. And this is the main gameplay mechanic, and I love this. Alright, just walk into it. Alright, wait a minute. Can I leave without this thing? No, I can't. I never actually jumped over it, so I just wanted to see that. Alright, fine, I gotta grab it. Because you do need this to progress, and actually a lot of the bosses, you do need the specific powers for that. That's where another element of this game can be difficult. Bar. We have the, magician outfit. He has his finger out like that. Hold the Y button. You start charging up. So it's basically like Mega Man X, the idea of the... So, yeah, when you're going like that, you're holding that, you have the bar down there. That is running on energy. You shoot off, and boom, there it goes. But you do have a limited amount of energy. And also, when you're holding the button, my thought initially was play this like a Mega Man X game. You're holding that Y button down and jumping at the same time. There's so many games I played on Super Nintendo that do that with that one. The Donkey Kong Country games running, the Mario games for that. You don't necessarily want to do that as much as I am doing it now, because if I get hit or jump on an enemy while doing this, I lose that energy instantly. The other thing to do is I can hit L and R to switch between my costumes or myself, hit X the way I have it set up, and you come down there. That does pause the screen, by the way, when that happens, and when you do that, just go out that way and go back to my normal form. So you can actually kind of play around with this game, and I love that depth that this has in terms of that. And in that case, yeah, throw that down. Yeah, see the slowdown. Woo! Yeah, there definitely is a lot of this. No question about that. That's one thing the Sega games do better. That's one thing that the Game Boy Advance version of this also addresses. But as I said, it is also something that I guess it goes to what we've sometimes said, the idea of the differences between, oh yeah, I want to be careful of that, and on normal and hard, they're on these stages. They're on the last stage only on easy. If you get caught by that, that's an instant death. So you gotta be careful. And they're clearly not being. But yeah, you come in here, there is a health upgrade, which is the reason I want to come in here. Alright, there you go. So yeah, we definitely have more health, and that's the good thing as well, so it is very well balanced in that, you know, it's something kids can come to, and it goes to, I think, what's sometimes been said, the idea that of a game that's based on a license or something that is feasibly appropriate for children to play, and this definitely is a case of that, that it still is going to give you a challenge, even on easy, because I was getting game overs pretty constantly playing this, but then the idea of, you know, oh shit, okay, yeah, that is my animation. I didn't know that was protecting me from getting eaten and killed by that thing, but apparently it does, thank God. Ow! Oh yeah, I'm trying to get up there because when you get the magic lamp up there, yeah, get the magic lamp, that is going to be, and I'm having so many close calls with that thing, it increases your energy for, or it adds more, or you recovers energy for your magician outfit. Yeah, let's pull that out. Okay, forgetting it's not A button. It is A button by default, but I switch it to X. And here are the branches here. You hold the B button when you're on them and you launch further. Those will sort of shoot the enemies here, and there are more of these on the higher difficulties, and they do take more hits. Yeah, going alright. Yeah, shoot off the archer there. Alright, so, and now I'm in a better case as well. And you know what, I'm gonna switch my costume, because yeah, I shouldn't be doing that as far as trying to, and this is also a little bit of a hard case, because you do have to do jumping, which I did fall down here the first time I played. Basically, just wait for the leaf to go to all the way to the right, which I didn't do, so yeah, I'm totally contradicting myself. Yeah, in that case, yeah, that's how you get across. Alright, so next section. By the way, when you die in a section, if you don't get to the Pete statue there, you just start at the beginning of this. They're short enough, it's not a problem. But in this case, as the wizard said, you come in here and it lets you breathe in the water, so you do need this. So yeah, you shoot that open, and that closing can hurt you, so be careful. In this case, you basically just want to shoot in increments of just pressing the Y button to shoot off. It is interesting to see the flooded tree, because that's something that is a unique set piece in the idea of the bugs coming out, of which there are definitely more of when you're running on the hard element. Mookie looks like Jafar a little bit from Aladdin in the sense that it's kind of the same, except that the colors are opposite. Yeah, good idea for that. And actually, when this game came out in the US, it was actually next month, December of 1992 when it released. Aladdin had just come out, so maybe, I don't know if Capcom had gotten a perspective of that, and the Aladdin game came out the year after for them, the one they made on Super Nintendo, and the one we played for Sega Genesis. So maybe they had that element, maybe there was something they saw for it, but it does have that element of, you know, like the wizard case, or like the vizier as far as, you know, Jafar with Aladdin. So it is definitely an interesting thing to it. And I did think that a little when I was playing this game, and unique, the idea of like playing a game, maybe sort of as Jafar, but not exactly. Alright, here's the hula guy, or the hula grunt. Just shoot him with your not X-Buster. Yeah, in that case, yeah, when you get hit, it shoots off automatically, but since he was in the way, there you go. This does do a lot of damage. In fact, of all the costumes, the charge shot for the magician outfit does the most damage of anything. I just noticed that idea. And so, as we mentioned, sometimes that happens when it comes to a game, even a game you've been playing for so long, specific, and to where you just look at it, and sometimes there's things that you'll notice differently. I've noticed that with a lot of the games that I've played the first time. I think we noticed that with Streets of Rage 2, some stuff last week. And I guess ElecVerse also feel free to go into any memories of, you said this game is your childhood, memories of when you first played this, or anything else you have for it, and we definitely go into that. As you're seeing, yeah, the peat trees definitely looks like something, again, out of Ghosts and Goblins, or Super Ghouls and Ghosts, or a little bit of ActRaiser, even though this is not by the people who made ActRaiser. Yeah, but sometimes the pattern's a little weird, so you have to be careful of that, and be careful not to get hit by the club they have. Yeah, feel free to go into your memories on that as well. As I said, my memory mostly is just when I bought it this year, in the sense of saying, yeah, you said you wanted to see that, and somehow I went through that without getting hurt, and I don't know how that happens. Because that is an insanely hard pattern, especially for this early in the game. But there you go, it's the reverse recording curse as it tends to be. Alright, here's the final area of this level, of this world, and I have only one heart. Shit, I did not know that. Also, yeah, I'm gonna jump up that way. I'm going to switch to my outfit. Yeah, I might get a game over, actually. I didn't realize my health was that low. Yeah, because there is an outfit over here, or there is a recovery of this. Yeah, because the next boss is surprisingly hard, and I am not in good shape as far as my health, and I don't... Oh, wait a minute. Hold on. Can I make this? Shit, I can't. I forgot there is a shop over there. I missed it. If you fall down that, Oh, no, if you fall down... Oh, Christ. It was after the tree. I missed it. There's a general store. I probably should have stopped by there. Alright, we're gonna go to this. This is not gonna be easy. This is the spider. Also, these platforms, I believe, on easy, there are more of them. You have to hit him in the face with this one, which we're gonna see in just a second. Yeah, use this. You basically have to use this. If you run out of your energy on this, you're gonna be screwed. Oh, shit. Alright, fine. We're gonna game over. As it goes to my element of this game, but you do have an element to continue, so there you go. Yeah, Pluto still needs your help. Yeah, I know, and I need... I practice this game enough, but that's that idea. Unfortunately, I'm still not showing 100% skill. It's like, well, look, I'm gonna put as much effort into this for the practice, so that's that idea. I was trying to beat this game, and it wasn't until my teenager years that I did. Okay, so, I guess it goes to one thing, which is that for a Mickey Mouse game, by the way, despite what it looks like, you're thinking, oh, we have to go start at the beginning of the world again. No, we don't. Even though it's showing, like, Stage 2 Dark Forest, it does put you back on the, at the level you died at. Also, screw the spider boss. It is not easy. I was kind of taken aback, but as I said, I'll say this, it's not... The thing about this difficulty in this game is that it's not unfair difficulty. Look, I made that mistake. That was my fault. I was clearly not careful. I was not paying attention. I was totally being cavalier. So in that case, I'm willing to say that, fine, that was my fault for doing that. So I'm not going to say no, that was my element. But yeah, the bosses are surprisingly tough because of how specific they can be. And I guess also maybe the thought that you can get into potentially unwinnable situations, maybe, but... That being said, also, when you do continue, it does still hold your coins, so it's not too bad. Also, by the way, when you can jump on that as well. He'll also shoot that out. It will tie you up. It will not hurt you doing that. You just have to wait until he gets in line that way and then hit him. Oh. Yeah, definitely, I mean, fitting, I guess, the thing with the spider, because we had that with, we had that sort of with Castle of Illusion. We're gonna have that with World of Illusion when we play that, which, ow. We're gonna play that when I can get my brother to, be set for the show. That's a logistics thing, because he is... I'm not gonna lie, he's out of the he's not in the same country as I am. So I have to figure when that's gonna be, when we can do that. But I'm not doing this game without him, and I also need to switch back. Because otherwise, I'm gonna run out of my energy. And at that point, I'm gonna have to jump on him. So yeah, you're right. This is not an easy boss. You have to be careful of where he is and wait until his element goes that way. But yeah, if you get him in the right position there, yeah, you can just sort of cheese it that way. And then when he goes, with the pink cheek that way. Shit! Oh, alright, throw him! Alright, I'm gonna have enough to kill him with this. We'll see. It's the stuff of nightmares. I guess, well, we mentioned that... Well, the Crochet Nerd 64 mentioned that. The idea of, like, hey, he's very arachnophobic in real life, and then the idea of how does that manifest itself in a game. Okay, he's dead. So, fair enough. And every time you kill an enemy, it goes off in that Mode 7 way, and also the Spirit of Pete comes out. But yeah, it's like the idea of spiders, this might be an element, even though it is very stylized for what it is. But going back to what you're saying, the idea that it wasn't until your teenage years that you beat this, it goes to the idea of, I guess, growing up with a game, the thought of, yeah, when it gets difficult, here's the thing about this game's difficulty is that I don't necessarily feel mad about the idea of, like, if I'm dying or something. I'm realizing, fine, I screwed up. I think this game is well designed, that it's not going to be something you're blaming the game for, saying that I got screwed out of this. But it's also something that you kind of grow with this game, and same with Castle of Illusion and World of Illusion as well. It took me a while to get into those, or not get into beating them, I guess. And actually, I'll say, to this very day, I've never beaten Castle of Illusion's hard mode, because in that game, you have no continues. So unless you're using the save state or the Genesis Mini that has it, yeah, you're not doing that. Alright, but we're going down. Yeah, we're going down, we're going another element. A little boy, you're going to hell. Actually, we are going to hell. That's not necessarily wrong. We're going into fire area. So it's very much, speaking of things of nightmares, the thought that, yeah, this is something that's friendly for children, but also something that, yeah, it's not going to necessarily coddle you in the sense of saying that, you know, we're gonna, fine. They're saying, like, okay, fine, look, you can, the idea of like being sort of scared for something, but you're still driven. The same way Mickey Mouse is, as far as this game and also as a character. So it kind of works really well as a great motivating factor as we're going down, avoiding the spikes. Ow, shit. And if they crush me, actually, I've never had it crush me. Okay, I'm glad to have shown what happens when you're crushed. Because actually, I've never done that before. Alrighty. So. Yeah, let's try this again. I never actually had it crush me, even though it looks very intimidating. So yeah, it's like, yeah, even though it is Disney and Mickey Mouse and something for children, it's something that, it is a little darker. So yeah, you have to be on your toes. And is the kind of thing, if nothing else, I guess it is kind of, I guess, a bit of a teaching element in the sense of, yeah, spikes are bad, don't get crushed by those. So a little bit of horror elements, a little bit, which I guess fits with the Super Ghouls and Ghosts element of this, and I guess other stuff of Capcom's later on, especially stuff like Resident Evil. I mean, as I mentioned, the people who did the Game Boy Advance port worked on Resident Evil 0, and Shinji Mikami worked on Goof Troop, so that idea of that connection, the early games of them, and actually with Shinji Mikami with Goof Troop, that was I think after Sweet Home came out on the Famicom, which is a horror game that I know has been widely celebrated but never released in the US. Yeah, and that's kind of the hardest part there, just basically tossing the blocks out. At this point, you don't really want to use the Magician outfit until you come down here, because this boss is unbeatable without it. And if you run out of energy, you basically have to die. Otherwise, you're in trouble. Or otherwise, you'll have to die, basically. But yeah, just walk up here. They give 2 of them. Yeah, when he hits the hammer like that, that won't be an insta-kill, thank God, but it will hurt. So basically, you pretty much wait until he goes that way, and also be careful to fire, and wait till he hits that, because he'll hit the platform up where you're standing. So as long as you walk, you should be okay. Usually. Or I kind of walk off. Oh, but either way, he's dead. So at that point, fine, he's going away. Yeah, stuff of nightmares, just to go back to that, I think that's kind of an interesting thing that, yeah, we're in this hellish landscape for Mickey Mouse, but yeah, we're gonna make this go, and I think it is a great driving force. But of course, with fire, what happens? Well, in case of fire, break the glass. Alright, yeah, we get the firefighter outfit. So yeah, I mentioned at some point we're gonna do stuff with firefighting games. I guess the Fireman on Super Famicom. And Firefighter FD18 for PlayStation 2, which is by Konami. I guess this is the first case we're gonna be doing to this. Yeah, you have the firefighter outfit. Here's how this works. You hit the Y button, you shoot out the water. And it also moves the gray blocks there, and it puts the fire out. But you have to use that very specifically here, not just to hit the enemies, but also to avoid platforms getting lit on fire. So it really gives a lot of elements to the design. Now that we have another costume, by the way, you can switch between them using the L and R button in order to scroll to them, and then hit X in my case to switch. The other thing you can do is you can also kind of set it up in a little bit of a way that, hey, when I switch to Mickey, like that, it puts my firefighter outfit over here. But if I'm saying, hey, I have specific powers I want to have kind of sort of on the ready, I can put them really close so that I only hit that L or R button once to get it and basically do a quick switch back. And also, it can move these big blocks. I do have that determination there, like, hey, he's showing that, yeah, I'm going to be fighting fires this way. It is a cool design as far as the way the costume is, and something unique that we didn't have much of firefighting in gaming, with the exception of, as I mentioned, I think, no, the Fireman I don't think had come out yet. And I also don't think the Ignition Factor, which is by Jalico, had come out yet either, which plays with that. And you pick up the fire hydrants, those give you extra water. By the way, the water is also weaker than the electric bolts, but there's gonna be cases where you're still gonna want to use it anyway, just because also you don't run out of ammo for it nearly as quickly as you do with the Magician outfit. All right. It also does show some aspects of the way the design is here, because yeah, look at the fire here, and also look there, yeah, the platform's on fire, and when that fire there goes, the platform sets on fire too, so you have to be very careful about when that is, because yeah, I had times happen while I was playing this, I'm like, okay, I didn't jump right, and then I got myself killed by that, and also, when it goes down in the fire, it sets on fire, so it's a great effect. It's not just the fact of the graphics looking nice, but it's also that it's working on the gameplay element. What year did this game come out? 30 years ago tomorrow. So it was 1992. It does show off what Super Nintendo is capable of really nicely, as the first indication of Mickey Mouse on this console. And there were other games with Mickey Mouse on NES, and I mentioned Castle of Illusion, which had come out 2 years about before this one, and World of Illusion, which had just come out when this came around. And that was... So yeah, it definitely looks nice, it definitely looks the part, and is really showing the idea of how Capcom was running stuff with the Disney games, which they had tons of them going back to NES. What I find cool is the Firefighter Mickey's on the cover of Nintendo Power. Yes, that was the bonus issue for January of 1994. As I am speaking here, when I edit this, I will have a picture of that. Also, because it's an open case that Mickey Mouse as the firefighter, but then also when you open it up, you see the idea that he's shooting Pete with the fire hose, and he's like recoiling and like, ugh, yeah, get out of the way as far as, you know, the fire. Also, yeah, you hit these blocks or move these blocks, they will, yeah, actually, I might want to get out of the way because I'm going to block myself a little bit. But it's a great effect as far as that, and showing the idea that, you know, Mickey Mouse doing the firefighting, so like, fine, let's use that, I'll just get Pete wet, which, yeah, he'll get annoyed by that, because he goes back to the Steamboat Welly thing. Also, the other thing is, I'm going to switch to, the normal Mickey outfit. By the way, when you do switch, it does pause the game, so if there's stuff that's coming towards you, no, it's not anymore. That is a great effect as far as, well, fine, it's a great effect as far as the game, but also just what that cover is looking like. A unique element of the cover, and I guess going into some other things as far as this game, because, as was mentioned, this game was pretty well received when it came out. It was, I believe, for Electronic Game Monthly, it was their Game of the Month for 1994, January of 1994 specific, and it was very highly rated. We mentioned the Nintendo Power Best Games of All Time thing. So definitely was an element to that, and it did sell well. It sold about 1.2 million copies, and I guess that counts the Game Boy Advance version a little bit. Also, yeah, that was a case of, yeah, me being careful, or not careful, but good news is that, yeah, they don't kill you by crush death, thank God. I believe, actually, Castle of Illusion does do that, I think. Although, I will have our play of Castle of Illusion to go along. And then the fire coming down. Also, because there's a preview when we do Mega Man X6 for Metal Shark players level, because in that one you have to crouch down, otherwise you're going to get killed instantly. You don't get killed instantly in this, thank God. So it's a little better than that, but you do take damage. Just be careful for that. And I do want to have... Ow! Okay, at least I didn't die from that, but I do want to have my Magician outfit, because you go down here and shoot this block, there is a health extension. Yeah, but it's going back to the early 90s of Disney, or this game, and also of Mickey Mouse and Disney stuff. I'll tell you, it goes to one thing that I think, I've always indicated this in some cases, the idea that the thought sometimes is that when you have a game based on the license, it's either going to be not very good, or it's going to be something that people are going to say that you're buying it more for the license. You're buying it for the idea that, hey, I want to play with Mickey Mouse, but the question of, is it going to be well executed to make you want to keep playing it? And in the case of Disney stuff, generally they got off pretty well with that, especially because you had talented people like Sega and Capcom who'd make games based on their stuff, and other companies too. But especially in the 16-bit era, it tended to be that case that when you bought a Disney game, there was a lot of quality to that. I didn't know there was the health extension there. I didn't know it either, except when I was playing the, doing the test play. It goes to the idea that there are a lot of little secrets to this that even I didn't know, including here. There's a life, thank God. Yeah, that does respawn, by the way, when you die. So if I die again, I can go get that. And yeah, you're going to want all the lives you can get for the purpose of that. But it goes to the idea that there are all these little hidden secrets you can find in this game, which makes it really interesting. And even though it is a very short game, we're going to finish this probably in about, I don't know, maybe half an hour. There still are a lot of things to find in it. In fact, I'll play it again on hard. Alright, good news is, here we go. We got the general store. I do have enough coins for the first time this way. You can buy more energy for anything you want. You also can buy, these half items for your magic, for the magician outfit, or for the water. Let me think about this. I don't know how I want to handle this. We do have a boss coming up that uses the fire thing there, although the magic is more powerful. You know what? I'll take the magic one for now. It increases your bar, changes the color of the bar, and when you take shots, it does not reduce the bar as much. And also, here's the other thing, which is that even though I just came out of that... Oh, shit, I want to switch back to this. When you come out of the shop, you can come back in. At least here you can. But you just keep coming back in, going in there to have enough coins to get whatever you want. In fact, during the test play, I did that just so I could get one of those half items that basically gives you more energy for your weapons. Or at least for these two weapons, because the last of the outfits, it does not have it does not run on ammo. So in that case, I just kept doing that, and you can feel to do that while you have time, and when you run out of time, it is death, but it will recover when you go between area, including here. Yeah, we're going back to 400 seconds. And we're gonna need that for the purpose of this, because we were at the boss here. And you do need the fireman outfit for this. Also, you will get recovery of stuff. Yeah, here's the, I guess the fire demon. So going back to the Super Ghouls and Ghosts thing a little bit. Yeah, you have to shoot it in the mouth, or shoot it feasibly anywhere. And hit the fire out of the air, but here's the thing. When the fire hits the platforms are set on fire, but when you put the fire out, or get hit like I did, you will have... Actually, you know what? I'll let it come closer to me so I can do this. Oh, shit. Yeah, you can stay on the fire a little bit, but yeah. Yeah, you do get fire hydrants each time you put the fires out when they're on the platforms. So you will have feasibly infinite ammo here. Just make sure not to use it before, you know, you run out. And also, with this, the slowdown is pretty, massive here. The Game Boy Advance version, again, fixes this. So yeah, if you're looking for a non-slowdown take of this game, you probably want to go on Game Boy Advance for this. Yeah, basically just keep hitting him, because you have to put the fire out. You do have to keep it going pretty consistently, and he'll change direction of the platforms, especially when it gets to the purple. And in that speed of that fire coming back, it'll keep coming back. It is much faster as far as how it comes back when you're running on hard. And I think you do sort of need to hit... Ow. You still need to hit... fine, I'll show it. Yeah, right there. The fire's coming back. You do sort of kind of have to hit him in the mouth a little bit. Yeah, and I might die to this boss. I'll try not to. Just keep putting the fire pressure on him, or the water pressure. Damn. Okay, I thought I was gonna die there. Almost. Okay, got him. Yeah, as long as you keep firing on the mouth enough, but it does sort of keep the fire from spreading as long as you hit him. So it is pretty fair that way, but as I mentioned, the speed of which the fire comes back on hard is much longer, or much quicker. It's longer on easy. So it also shows the idea that the difficulties of this game are scaling it pretty nicely. So it's not just, oh yeah, enemies are going to hurt more. No, they don't hurt more, you just have fewer hearts to start with. And you can extend them, as we mentioned before. But the idea that they're thinking about this as far as difficulty in some unique ways, the same way kind of the Castle of Illusion did, although like Castle of Illusion, you have unlimited continues in this. On any difficulty you play. Alright, next we're going to Pete's Peak. With this, we're getting the last of our costumes. Yeah, we have an empty slot there, but yeah, here's Goofy again. Gosh, Mickey. I still can't find Pluto. Yeah. And I've looked every which way but up. Yeah, and I guess this goes to some of the Goofy cartoons. I know there's the one where... Let's see if I can find a link to this. The one where Goofy is learning how to mountain climb. Or actually, I don't know if you've ever seen any of the Goofy cartoons where it's like how to do something, like how to drive, how to like do changing lanes in car, how to play football, how to go skiing, how to do mountain climbing. Those are amazing as far as how they are, and a lot of them are on Disney Plus, by the way. I'll see about indicating for some of these specific, but it's the idea, like, Goofy gets in these weird situations. He doesn't talk, there's just a narrator, if you've never seen these, and then he'll often go flying or off, and he'll be doing that yelly, Yahoo! I do love hearing that, but yeah, we're on the mountain, he's like, yeah, there was only one place to go, and that's up. Yeah, maybe we should look up the mountain, good idea. Here's the climbing britches and the rope. Yeah, so yeah, I guess he had problems with the climbing. It's like, fine, you use it. We need all the help we can get. Alright, that's fine. Yeah, thank you for providing this. Alright, so yeah, we're the mountain climber. We look a little bit like Robin Hood. Yeah, he's doing the moonwalk backwards. But here's the thing, yeah, I guess it's the Robin Hood element, but if you've ever played Bionic Commando from Capcom for NES, and there's an arcade version, and then a bunch of remixes too, this is Rad Spencer, or Nathan Rad Spencer, certain elements of Go. Although, unlike that game, you have a jump button. In that game, you hit the Y, you hit the attack button. In this case, hit the Y button. You could use that hook to hook onto basically anything, and then kind of swing around. And this game, it's kind of working the same way, so you can actually kind of do some interesting stuff with the platforming in this. I don't get with the timer still ticking during the cutscene, not in the other ones. Actually, I never noticed. Oh, right, because they take the HUD away, I think, for the other ones. Yeah, good catch. I don't think I actually noticed that. I'll be curious then going back on the video on this. And you can also use it to pick up the enemies too. And if you hit up on D-pad, you can shoot the hook straight up. Or if you're walking left or right, you shoot it straight forward that way. Yeah, that's interesting. And also, I'll also look into one other thing. I'll probably have an edit for this. I don't know if the Game Boy Advance version fixes that. Yeah, the other thing is you do is, yeah, you have to take the shields off of the Pete guards. And that's how that works. Yeah, good catch on that. I didn't actually notice that. But there's a... Okay, I don't know if there's a general store up there, but the other thing is that you basically, for the most part, hook onto a bunch of different things to try and get your way up, like that, or, oh right, I have to make it the jump from further upwards. And there's some fancy footwork you can do here, like right here, boom. You have your hook on, and then you're all set. I don't know, maybe Goofy's perspective, like, hey, he doesn't know that, you know, Mickey's in a hurry this way, but either way, I mean, the idea, like, yeah, he means well. Okay, well, I'll tell you what we're gonna do. Well, we're seeing the great mountain atmosphere here, the great mountainside, and looking at that, it looks terrific. Alright, yeah, here is the life here, by the way. And I believe... Oh, yeah, the shop is over there. Yeah, you just have to sometimes take a bit of a leap of faith, sort of, although, honestly, the way we're running, it's not really so much a leap of faith as it is a go back and do a jump to a certain area to find a hidden goodie. Which is nice, and it goes to the idea of there being a lot of secrets to this game. A lot of things to find out, whether you're playing this for the first time now, or only this week. Fine, actually, no, I played this before this week. I did my massive practice this week, for sure. But just finding all these little hidden things. Which goes to how well designed this game is. Well, alright, they're sold out of everything. And I do not have enough money for this. By the way, you jump up to that, and that's how you get the item, but I do not have enough. You can go back in if you so desire, but I do not have any reason to. But there are the blocks here, I can go grab those and keep going. Ow! Also, by the way, when you get hit, you cannot control Mickey, so make sure you're not backwards falling into a pit. Or be like Castlevania or something like that. Or, fine, like Super Ghouls and Ghosts, a little bit, actually. Thinking back to that, which makes sense, as I mentioned, because it has to be the Konami team, or the Capcom team that worked on that. Yeah, as far as, I was gonna say there was no games of Disney from Konami, but that's not true, because there were the Disney sports games that were on the GameCube and the PlayStation 2. I remember them not being well received. We'll sort of have a bit of a look to that, kind of, when we play Metal Gear Solid 2 Substance, because I bought it on the PS2 because of the skateboarding mode, and it runs on the same engine as those games and Evolution Skateboarding, and it's a bit rough, but I said, like, we want to show this. Also, yeah, be careful there. There are the wind gusts, and I love the sound, the it sounds like, oh, wow, the wind's here. If you do get blown down there, here's the thing, yeah, there's a bottomless pit down there, but, and I had this happen when I was doing my test play, because you can hook onto the tops of the mountains this way, you can save yourself. So yeah, if you're falling, because as soon as you get hit by that blast, and I'll show it off probably when I come back to this, then that's gonna be how that operates. You can kind of make a nice recovery, almost the same way like Bionic Commando, almost. You get really fancy with how that plays. Also, Konami made Dance Dance Revolution Disney Mix. Yeah, you're right, I forgot about that one. For the PlayStation, which we got it. It was also on Nintendo 64 in Japan. I think it was an arcade game as well, from what I understand. And fitting to go into that, because we were talking about the Disney music game, or fine, the Kingdom Hearts music game, Melody of Memory. So the idea that they were still doing that even back then, actually, interestingly enough, that was right when Dance Dance Revolution was starting to take off in this country, when it was in the arcades, and it was actually the second version that came out in the US after the PS1 edition of the first one. Although even then, with the PS1 edition, the first one, people were saying, like, why couldn't you license Butterfly by Smile DK? And then I think they did for one of the later ones. That, okay, thank you. But of course, with that, actually, ElecVerse, have you played the Dance Dance Revolution Disney Mix? I heard it was interesting. It was definitely strange hearing some of the elements as far as the music, because I'll do like remixes the way Dance Dance Revolution tends to. And as I mentioned when we played Space Channel 5, I have Dance Dance Revolution Ultra Mix, which has a remix of Yell Dead Sail from Metal Gear Solid 2. It was interesting for that one, hearing, for the Disney one at least, like, it's a small world after all, ducking hardcore remix, which sounds very weird. I've not played it. I'll put a picture of what that is. It is strange. I'll also put, like, a video of, you know, the play of that. But from what I understand, it is pretty good as far as how it operates, and how it controls, and, like, the Disney animation stuff of that. Alright, we're at the boss here, the bird. Yeah, that, if you played Kirby Superstar, that's gonna look familiar, but yeah, this game was doing it 4 years ahead of time. Yeah, the bird, it'll do the, Mode 7 shot toward the camera the way Dyna Blade did in that. And that is not just for show. If you are not hanging on when that happens, yeah, you're gonna be blown off and you're probably gonna die. Here's the other thing about this as well, is that I actually did not realize this until I was doing test play on this, or test looks into research on this. When it comes to the eggs there, you can pick them up with the hook, and it does more damage. I did not know that. Actually, the way I fought this boss the first time I played it, was I actually switched off between that. Also, yeah, he'll sometimes crack the egg, and it'll just come up as nothing, as a yolk. But the thing I did, interesting for this, was that I basically waited until I could, you know, get into an opening that way, and then I took out the magic effect, or the magic power, or the magician outfit, and just shot him with that. Which you can do it, so there is a little bit of an opening, or a little bit of an open way to play this game, but you do have to kind of play around. Yeah, this fucking burn is the bane of my existence because of the fact it blows you off, I'm gonna assume, yes? Yeah, sorry for making it look easy, because, like, and he's, like, the thing with the hands, like, yeah, he's that big, it's that big of an annoyance. But I get that, because at first I thought, okay, that's a cool effect. I said, I played Kirby Superstar before this, so I remember, I was like, oh, Dyna Blade does that. Except in this game, it's harder, because, like that game where you can hit Dyna Blade when she's flying towards the camera, this one you can't, and the bird will blow you off. So yeah, it's easy to die because of the fact that you get blown off on the side, and it's usually strong enough you can't survive that I'm aware of. Unless, chat, you know, I know, like, if you've ever survived, it's also hard to hit the fucker. Yeah, not wrong, because of the fact of the egg. And I said, when I first played this, got to this boss, at first I said, I want to use the hook just to survive this so I don't get blown away. Actually, I didn't even think necessarily to do that until I said, oh, I just didn't do it once and I got blown off. Like, oh, wait a minute. But then I said, oh, just use the magic power, the magician outfit, just to shoot him, because it does more damage. But although, actually, in that case, the egg does the most damage. That is going to kill him the quickest. Yeah, there's something to be said about the idea that I would assume probably when it comes to the difficulty of this game, that is, would you say this is the most difficult part of the game? Oh, fine, except maybe the final boss specific. But if you were to go on that, is we're in the ice world. You want to use the firefighter here. And the good news is, despite the idea of us with the hose that way, our hose will not freeze, thank God. These other items here will freeze, so what you can do is you shoot this off, and basically it creates a little bit of a platform there. It'll go away after a little bit of time. Yeah, I'll go to Mickey normally. Yeah, because, like, yeah, let me grab this. Basically use that to platform, and it's very serene and relaxing here, for sure. And very dreamlike. Look at the background there, like the sparkling stars, the sparkling stars, which actually I didn't really notice, or the Aurora Borealis look, I guess, a little bit. Which actually was something that, the Great Circus Mystery, this game's sequel, also had. Although for years we didn't know, or I didn't know that Great Circus Mystery was a sequel to this. And I also didn't know we had a third game, or there was a third game, based on this. Also, you can't use the, mountain climbing outfit here, because you can't hold on to the icy platforms. Also, there's an item up there I was not able to get. But as I said, I'll probably play through this game again, because it's so short. Oh, shit. Yeah, also, when you're on that block, I guess it's ice. I guess it'll go off in the direction you're pointing. I actually did not know that. It kind of reminds me of a Kirby level. Yeah, definitely a good observation, Chasm22. As we were mentioning the last boss. Definitely a little bit of a preview to what Kirby Superstar would do. And by the way, I don't know if I indicated this. When we get to Kirby Superstar, the Crochet Nerd 64 called dibs on that. We'll figure we're going to do that, because I did ask me, you the boom. It also, the other thing about looking at this level, it almost looks like something out of Super Mario World, a bit. In terms of some of the flashing elements, almost like, actually, yeah, like the ice worlds, or the ice levels, of which, mainly in Super Mario World, there are not a whole lot of those, I'm remembering. Yeah, this part is basically just kind of riding the way, and also, you run easier in this level. So going back to, like, we're saying that Mickey's running a bit slow, this area, you can kind of get through it really quickly because of the fact you run on this as we're going to the next boss. It's actually pretty short when you just kind of go through it. Yeah, we're getting the, when he comes up here, yeah, the Pete Skier. Or Pete Skater. He'll shoot the ice out, you can freeze them. There's more of them that come out when you're on the higher difficulties, and he only shoots 2 on easy. Now, usually the easy way to run this is using the, firefighter outfit. Because he'll also do the spin there. You can hit him when he comes back with that. You can also be a little risky the way I did, which is that when you're doing the spin, definitely showing off the Mode 7 element of the system with it. You can jump on him, but you have to be very specific, and honestly, I'll tell you, I just kind of learned when I was just playing this for practice that, you know what, I should probably just be safer. It's going to take longer, because as I mentioned, also, he will sometimes come through specific. So in that case, you'll have to kind of sort of take a hit, unless you were very careful with hitting stuff. Yeah, but also, if you're going to do the jump, I'll say this. Stay at the edge here. Wait till he does the flip, basically jump, and then hit him when he comes down. Like that. It takes some time to get down, and it was not easy for me to understand that pattern. Especially when you're on the higher difficulties, because as I mentioned, not only will he shoot more of the ice balls, he'll take more damage. That's the other thing. The bosses take more damage when you're on hard. And on easy, they go down a little easier, but not always as much. But also the good news is that when you have your invincibility frames there, it's usually going to be enough, and long enough, that you can just keep jumping on him and not take damage from the ice balls he tosses. Actually, the point where, actually, I'm almost running out of juice for this, and you do not get a recovery for this, so actually, at this point, what you might want to do is pull out this and then shoot that, but also you do have to charge this up entirely, otherwise you're not going to hit him. Yeah, so there he's going pink like that, and with that, it means we're almost there. Oh, shit. Okay, yeah, there you go. So, yeah, that did a lot of damage. Actually, I guess the half item I got... I don't know, I guess does it do more damage? I don't know, chat. Feel free to indicate that to me, because I don't think it does. Of what I looked up, it basically is giving you more ammo. At least I think it is. But yeah, that is the Snowy Valley cleared. You get the triumphant element when you're done with it. Yeah, right, back to the map we go, and yeah, we're almost done with this game. But as I said, we're not going to be done with the show. I'm going to play through this game again on hard, show the difference, because I think it's probably worth doing that, because it's short enough, and we have our celebration elements of that. And then at that point, I guess it'll be like Streets of Rage 2 last week, in the sense it'll be basically... Fine, the show is open mic night anyway for me, and for anybody in chat for sure, or anybody who's on the show with me when that's the case. But that way, we sort of explain the game as it was. We can kind of go into more stuff about this, other stuff in gaming we might be playing. I got something I want to go into, or a couple things, actually. Do a little later. But yeah, this is the castle, but Mickey's having doubts. Like, as you mentioned, the idea that Mickey is, you know, he's a brave mouse. I mean, actually, they mentioned that with Castle of Illusion that way, but he's like, well, maybe he's thinking this is not the right place. But he hears the barking of Pluto, and he's like, yeah, that's Pluto. So yeah, this is the place. Alright, so we're gonna take care of it repeating here. Did you ask me if this is the hardest of the three? I didn't. What would you say? Would you say this is the hardest of the three? Actually, have you played that third game? Because, as I mentioned, this is a trilogy. Yeah, I'm doing enough worry for both of us. Yeah, because there's this one, there was the Magical Quest, oh fine, that's this game. There's the Great Circus Mystery starring Mickey and Minnie, and then there was, I have it written down here, Mickey Toe Donald Magical Adventure 3, which only came out in Japan until it came on the Game Boy Advance, and actually, it is insanely rare on the Game Boy Advance. You'd be surprised, because actually, I'll say this, when we did Final Fight 2 back in January, actually, yeah, and I want to have this so I can take the shield off of him. I said, oh, you know, when we get to the other games of this franchise, fine, we'll do this one on Super Nintendo, we'll play, The Great Circus Mystery on Genesis, and I'll get that Game Boy Advance version, it'll be perfect, we'll cover all three, but then I realized, the Game Boy Advance version, when I looked, that was back in January, it cost about, I think it was over $100 when I saw it, and I went on eBay this week just to get a sense of, okay, can I find it, has it gone down in price maybe, or what it is? I couldn't find a single listing for the US version. I only found the PAL version, weirdly enough, of the Game Boy Advance version. The only other thing is that I've seen reproduction cartridges of the Super Famicom version that have been translated, so I guess when we play it, we're gonna get to that one. Hang on a second. Yeah, I'll hold here. I'd say the second one, The Great Circus Mystery, is the hardest one. Okay. Which, as I said, I do have familiarity with that one. I did play it. I played the Super Nintendo version. Is that the one you played? It's been so long since I played it, I don't know if it necessarily was really hard or not. Actually, I did beat it when I rented it, because I rented that growing up. I don't have a copy of it, but I'll buy one for sure for the purpose of it. And it doesn't cost a lot of money. It's like 15, 20 bucks. Kind of like this one. This game does not cost much either. It actually costs a little more on the Game Boy Advance, but not massively. It's that third one that costs a lot. I guess because people are realizing the Game Boy Advance version is the only one that came out in the US officially. Also, you have the blocks there. We'll do that. Also, you have the, fine, you have the blocks there that have the up arrow on them. You also have the, I guess the trampolines there. Yeah, they'll go down. You'll see, like, the gum there in their mouth. When it goes down to the bottom, it'll jump up, but if you wait too long, it'll snap, or it'll be broken. As you know what's going here, because there's also an item over here. Or items over here. But the thing about this is that there technically are multiple ways to get to the end here as far as this level. Alright, there is the archer, which I guess goes to the arches in Latin. But yeah, there's a life over there. And I guess, yeah, feel free to go into ElecVerse on this one, which is, why is the Great Circus Mystery the hardest one to you? And have you played that third one? I have not played that third one, and I remember a couple years ago kind of being surprised saying that, wait, there is a third one, I didn't even know that existed. And how do I have 5 lives? That seems very weird. Maybe I just haven't been dying recently. So I got the rustiness out of my way early. Whoa. Yeah, I do like the fancy movements you can do, and as I mentioned, it's kind of like Bionic Commando, but unlike Bionic Commando, where you don't have a jump, yeah, this one you can jump, so yeah. Rad Spencer can't jump, but Mickey Mouse can. Alright. Also, I believe there is a hidden item in the water, so I'm gonna get the Magician outfit out. Okay, not in that water. It's in... Yeah, down here. There is... Yeah, coins. Okay, it's not a, what is it? It's not a health extension, but I have 6 hearts, so it should be fine. I would say later levels, particularly the bosses, are the reason that, the Great Circus Mystery is harder. And it also, here's the thing about this, it is a little different, sort of, between the Genesis and the Super Nintendo versions, very slightly. Because I know that there's some level, fine, there's one level, I think it's the Haunted House. One of the stages is totally different between both versions. On the Sega Genesis, it's a collapsing apartment. And on the Super Nintendo, it has a rotating area that's actually kind of like Super Castlevania 4 a little bit. Where you're kind of running Mode 7 elements. I'd say my least favorite of the 3 is the second one. It's been a while since I played that second one. I don't know, did you play it on Super Nintendo the way I did? Or did you play it on the Genesis? As I said, we'll play it on the Genesis, I guess, for variety's sake. Although maybe I should be getting both of them just for the purpose of that. Yeah, this is another thing you can do. You can say that you're supposed to use the magic carpet over there to get up there. But if you get that item just right for the arrow block, you can just come up this way. Although in this case you have to use this, so let's pull that out. I mean, I'm definitely looking forward to when we get to all those other ones, just because, as I said, the second one's the one that I have memories of, in the sense of, I played both versions. And I guess the difficulty element of that would be the same across both. Because I said, we'll play the Genesis version, but honestly, because of some of the differences, or that one difference, I almost think maybe we should look at them both briefly. Although, as I mentioned, remember what we had the problem with on Streets of Rage 2 last week? I couldn't actually run it on my Genesis setup. Oh, shit! Okay, yeah, I'm glad I got to show that, if nothing else, which is that this is where at Mega Man Spike area, because, yeah, if you get hit by the spikes, it's an instant death. And you have to use the magic carpets. Yeah, you hit the magic in order to turn it on. I believe it lasts, well, you know what? Let's find out if it lasts forever. I don't know if it does, because they give you a bunch of these. I guess if you fall, you can sort of get to the end and be safe that way, but also when you move, you also move along it, so you're not locked on it, so you have to be careful not to walk off the way I did. I find the music forgettable, the power-ups are underwhelming. Yeah, the second game, I know the second one had... it had the vacuum, so it was like a precursor to Luigi's Mansion. Or it's a little bit like, I don't know if you ever played this. This is a game that actually costs a surprisingly large amount of money. Was it? It's the Jetsons game that was on the Super Nintendo, which was, Attack of the Planet Pirates, I believe it was, from Taito. It costs a lot of money. I played that actually renting it growing up without realizing that it's like a $200 game now. Somehow. I don't know how that happened. But yeah, it had like the vacuum thing in that game. And it also had the, of what I also remember for Great Circus Mystery, it had the, like the hobby horse. You can kind of ride the hobby horse. A little bit, also like Mega Man X, in the sense you have the charge element, and then you like a dash forward. And I remember the neighing on the Super Nintendo version, the which sounded kind of interesting. And the one thing also about the Great Circus Mystery that is a little interesting, for sure, is the fact that it has co-op, whereas this game is a two-player alternating case. I was saying, yeah, these things. Yeah, they'll shoot the cannonballs out. They can hurt. You can shoot them back with the fire hose. So that's kind of the way you want to go. But yeah, I mean, it has been a while since I played that one, so... Yeah, I'd be curious to see that for it. I mean, we'll see what we can do as far as maybe running both. I think the thing is, I'll tell you how I might have to go around that Genesis thing. If I get the Genesis version and it doesn't work on my system the way Streets of Rage 2 did, I'll do something that I have said for a while. I'm going to do this. I will get to this eventually. I said I was going to buy eventually a Retron 5, which is a multiple console unit. There's an attachment for it that lets you play Game Gear games on it, but I believe it's also Sega Genesis, so if I have cases where I can't run it on the actual Genesis system, we might use that for it. Although in that case, I hope that it would work on my Genesis stuff, because I can't actually switch between... Because I think that's an HDMI system, that Retron 5. So in that case, I can't switch between the Super Nintendo and the Genesis in the same show, because of the fact that I can switch between stuff when I'm running the RetroTink 5X and when I have... composite component or S-Video, because I'm running S-Video for this one, by the way. But when it comes to HDMI consoles, I can't do that, or anything that's running HDMI. So, I'd figure that, alright, there's an extension. I will also show off all the optional boss rematch rooms. There's not necessarily a whole lot of a reason to do this, but I may as well show it. You come this is where we're getting close to where Pete is. You're getting the nice lightning out there, which actually I didn't know until now. Yeah, you fight the bosses we saw before, some of the mini-bosses, but they changed the arena a little bit. So this element, there's divots in there that you have to time specific so that you can hit him. And also, so yeah, he might jump on you potentially, but yeah, with the charge there, it is going to be pretty easy. The other thing is you can go back in here and fight him again, but again, there's not much reason to. I mean, I think the idea is that this is supposed to be a little bit of a maze, the sense of, okay, where are we supposed to go where Pete is? I guess then, so you're saying, ElecVerse, that the favorite game, or the least favorite game of this is The Great Circus Mystery. I guess A, would this be your favorite, and B, tell me about that third one, because as I mentioned, I've never played it. Also, in this case, yeah, we're fighting this thing over Bottomless Pit. Although in this case, we can also use our magic on him, so it is a little different in that I can just blast him with my magic. So in fact, we'll try that. He'll probably go down really quick. In fact, yeah, he did. Damn, he's dead really fast. Alright, so let's keep going. We're almost at the end. Let me see how much energy I have on the fire hose. It's a little low, so we'll do that. Also, I'm going to switch between Mickey, and then in order to switch my position that way, I'll switch between that, and there we go. We have fire hose, and we have magician outfit right where they are. Which are probably the two most useful, honestly, when it comes to the bosses. And also for the progression of this. Which I guess goes to one thing, which is that I guess it's good there were sequels to this in the sense of kind of building on the mechanics of this. Because it's one of those games that, in some ways, I almost wish it was a little longer in the sense that there are great things that they're doing with these mechanics. Also, you can blow the enemies away and they will eventually die with the water. So there's a high-pressure fire hose. Yeah, don't get shot with a high-pressure fire hose in real life. You'll probably get yourself badly hurt, for sure, for that. But, yeah, in that case, they'll die that way. This one is my favorite. I admit part of it is a nostalgia case, though. Although, I mean, there's something to be said about that. I said that with Castle of Illusion in that, well, look, I love that game, partially because I grew up with it, but then also the idea of, we mentioned this before, the idea of being able to explain the idea of, like, why do you have a connection with this game, and, hey, this is a good favorite to have. I mean, clearly, a lot of other magazines at the time agreed with that, because of the other games in this series, this is the one that seems like gets remembered the most. It's not Great Circus Mystery, it's not that third one. So, maybe that has something to do with it too, but it is a fun game. And the third one, I guess, I don't know, the third one, I know the third one enhanced a lot in the sense that you're playing as Mickey Mouse and Donald Duck for sure, so that changes it as far as the cooperative element, even over the second. I also feel the team put a lot of love into it. Yeah, you do get that. You clearly get that. You're right. This is a game that clearly they had a blast making. It does have that element to it that does feel like it is something special. It's the idea of debuting Mickey Mouse for Nintendo. And I'm just gonna take a bit of water before going to the final boss here. You really get the sense they want to make this something special. They wanted to stand out. And remember, in the 16-bit era, it was between the Super Nintendo and the Sega Genesis, and thought that, okay, Genesis has Land of Illusion the year after this on Game Gear. And there was World of Illusion that just came out, and Castle of Illusion will go in here, as we're gonna fight Pete, who, if you're familiar with Astaroth from Super Ghouls and Ghosts, is gonna look a little familiar. There he is, all the souls of the enemies defeated are coming into him. What you do with him is you wait until, you shoot him when he's not doing his hands out like that, and he has an attack. He'll have the walls coming that way. Basically, you can shoot him out of the way, or you can use the fire hose. Basically goes that, and be careful of where the shots are. And also remember, he's invincible when he does the thing with his hands out that way. So if you time it that way, that's it. And it's also, yeah, this is also the most powerful thing you can use, although you can also still hurt him with the fire hose. It just takes longer. And when you get him down enough, he'll go pink like that, and then he'll have this new fire attack. And he'll also have an energy bolt, which, for all I know, I might not have enough time to show off, because I'm going to kill him too quickly. Well, let's see. Also, yeah, I didn't even show this. Yeah, he sometimes summons enemies. You're gonna want that to happen, because when they come down, you shoot them, you do get a refill of whatever costume you have currently on. So that's the idea. Oh, shit, yeah, okay, that's the one. It also, if that bolt hits the ground, it'll run across the ground, so it's pretty difficult. But yeah, he's dead already. Yeah, that's how strong the magician outfit is. And that's the end of the game, but we're not done with the show. Play it again. I think the third game is okay, but feels a bit undercooked. I guess because of the powers, because of maybe the cooperative element of it too. But yeah, there is Pluto. Yeah, he's gonna be just fine. Well, let's get out of the dungeon, or out of the castle. That being said, I'm definitely gonna be looking forward to playing those, or going through the second one again, and also seeing it. Alright, yeah. Oh, Pluto, cut it out! Yeah, I'm thinking like the old voice of Mickey Mouse that way. Yeah, it tickles. Right, yeah, we woke up in our bed. So hold on a second. Yeah, there's Donald. Yeah, get out of bed. Let's go play catch. Yeah, but hold on a second. Yeah, where am I? Okay, so yeah, it is the, it was all just a dream element. Which is not a new thing, admittingly, when it comes to the Mickey Mouse games. So I guess we weren't actually fighting Pete, but I guess that would also explain one other thing. We're looking at this very high perspective of, the look of Mickey here. And that is the fact that it would explain why the Super Ghouls and Ghosts influence on this game is, and maybe, I don't know, the thought that, hey, they're gonna go play catch, and he'll be ready if that actually happens. So it kind of explains that dream element, or find maybe why that would be, because of the fact, and as I mentioned earlier in the show, there are pseudonyms, that MX5, that is Hisashi Yamamoto. Yeah, in years past, people figured out, oh, well, who are the actual people who are behind this. And the Sega games tend to do this as well for the purpose of this. Yeah, but that is, and Mari and Annie, which is, as I mentioned, Mari Yamaguchi and Tatsuya Nishimura. An executive advisor of Professor F, who was Takuro Fujiwara, as I mentioned earlier in the show. Yeah, that's the end of the game, but I'm going to run it on hard just because I think, you know, let's give a little more meat to this. And it also goes into more elements of this, as far as, you know, going to elements of this franchise, this trilogy, as it is, and showing what this game was doing for Nintendo when it came to bringing out Mickey Mouse. And yeah, you're right, ElecVerse, you got a good point to this. And one thing, I guess, to preface where I'll finally go as far as the final thoughts on this, this does have a feeling of magic. It does have this feeling that they clearly were taking Mickey Mouse seriously and said, let's make something that has this feel like the Sega games do, but also in a unique way, of capturing that magic, capturing the multiple tonal elements of Mickey Mouse as a character, and having that go. Actually, I'll tell you what we'll also do. We'll play on the hard mode, but I think I'll also show off one thing. I'll show off one of the codes on this, specific, but I have to go in there and get an item first to do this. Alright, yeah, I'll run the same controls, so we'll go on hard. We'll show that off. Because actually, I've not done this code even during my test play, so there's going to be a little bit of a new case for me showing this. Anyway, at the end, I'll also show off what two-player is in the sense that it runs it. The third one has a lot of great ideas that I think don't get fully realized, which, I mean, there's something to be said about that. The idea that when a game has a lot of potential, and it sort of gets there on certain things, but then it doesn't go all the way, which I don't know if... And when we get to that game, we'll definitely do it, and as I said, because of the cost reason, I will get a reproduction cartridge copy of that game so we can play it, and I believe it is in English, so we can run it as such. I'll look up into that to get a sense of why, because why did the third one not come out here? Because this game sold well. I guess the Great Circus Mystery sold pretty well. I mean, Capcom did well with the Disney stuff they released, whether it was these games, whether it was Aladdin, whether it was Goof Troop, which sold decently, I think. So, I don't know necessarily why they didn't bring it up. And they still had the license, I think, in 1995. Which I guess is also why they were able to put Great Circus Mystery on the Genesis, and why this was gonna be on the Genesis. I'll see also, when I edit this, there were photos, I think, of it shown at the Consumer Electronics Show in 1994, and I think actually a lot of European Mega Drive magazines that were showing what this looked like running on Genesis, which were, I think, as you would kind of expect for it usually, which is, it has a lower color palette because the Genesis has fewer colors running than Super Nintendo, but also the fact that I think the screen resolution is probably a little bigger. Although, honestly, with this, I don't tend to get that sense from it. I mean, look, I maybe get the console wars perspective. Like, every time they look at a game, they always talk about the fact that, hey, there's a cropping element when it comes to running it on multiple systems. But with this one, I don't really get the sense of it that much. Although, as I said, there's not an official release of the... Oh, yeah, I fell through the door. Okay, that was funny to see. Also, apparently for the speedrun element, there's a way you can sort of do a jump on this and kind of skip this dialogue, although you can also hit the start button to skip it, just to give an idea. It's the same, regardless. And also, the main difference when you're running on hard this way is you want to start with 2 hearts. Alright, so what I want to do is I want to try and see if I can't get a heart item here. Okay, not yet, because, yeah, I need to get a heart item in order to do this cheat. And it's not in the box. I believe it's random when the hearts come out. Well, fine, the heart items for just getting health recovery, as opposed to the heart items that still expand your health, which you can still get on hard, just to go into that. Alright, okay, yeah, I got... I won't look at that. Okay, no, I didn't get stabbed, I jumped into his face. So that was what happened. Okay, yeah, I'm also being totally not careful, which is not a good thing, but alright, fine. Also, when you do, either die or come back here, there is an item here. Also, yeah, I hit that enemy that was off screen. Yeah, I gotta find where hard is also because I don't want to die again. Oh, fine, we already beat it once, but that's fine. Yeah, let's go back up there, and what I can do is I can grab the, bud here, and that's one thing I do love, which is that you grab this, when you throw it, it goes like that, and you can grab onto it, and you can sort of manipulate it, but it does go a bit slowly, kinda, so you have to be a little in line. Speaking of Console Wars, here's the episode they had of The Magical Quest and World of Illusion. Yeah, I did watch that one, as far as how it was actually preparing for the show this week, so I want to see, okay, they compared the two, what was the comparison going on, specific. It was definitely interesting how that was, and how they were, you know, getting the idea of, working on the, the magic wand for the purpose of that. And I guess as far as other stuff they could do with that, thinking about, like, the Mickey Mouse stuff. Actually, the one I guess they could do they haven't done yet, because they did do Great Circus Mystery, and the other one they haven't done was, a game I have, Mickey's Ultimate Challenge, which is on Super Nintendo and Sega Genesis. I have it on the Sega Genesis, which is kind of a bit of a puzzle game. Chat, feel free to go into letting me know if you remember that one, or if you played it. Because it definitely is unique, it's different. It's not really a platform game, even though you have platform. You know, I'm gonna try this. If you hit... Hold on, let me see something. Yeah, because I'm doing it on purpose. The code for this is... When you pick up a recovery heart, you hit start and select on both controllers. I don't know if this counts. I don't know, that work? Yeah, because what's supposed to happen is when you do that... Fine, that's an extender heart, or extension heart, so maybe it doesn't work on that. If you hit start and select on both controller 1 and 2 when that happens, you're supposed to hear the Capcom logo music, the bling noise. And when you do that, you have basically infinite ammo for all of your powers, I think. But I said, I didn't actually test this to see how this operates. I just looked it up and said, hey, this is apparently something for this game. So just keep going, I'll see what I can find for it. But I do have more health at least. And more coins to go along. But yeah, that definitely is an interesting case as far as that, and go the element of magic, because as I said, I do... here's the thing, I'll also say this, going back to the World of Illusion thing, as far as like when we're gonna play it for the show. I actually did technically play it already, but as I said, it was one of those, I don't have the recording of it. In fact, actually, speaking of the technical concerns sometimes to this, I did it because... Okay, I guess I'm not gonna get another health recovery yet. The reason I did it was because actually, before I was doing this as consistently as I'm doing now, I was trying to do Mickey Mania, which we played earlier this year. We played the Sega CD version. It would not read the disc for some reason. So I said, oh, what am I gonna do? It was Protorova just on the other side of it. Okay, perfect, let me try and get this. Actually, hang on. You know what, let me see. I'm gonna try and do this, let's see how this operates. Let's hold the 2 here. Oh shit, or die. I guess I'll have to come back here for that, that's fine. Although, the one thing I'm wondering is, since Start does bring the pause menu, or the pause screen up... Okay, it's a pause menu on Game Boy Advance, because the Game Boy Advance version, one other thing they add is as a save feature. So you can save right there. But as I mentioned, with, Mickey Mania, I was gonna play that the first time I played it... Actually, technically tried to play that... Oh, fine, I played the game twice to the show. Once a recording we don't have, once a recording we do have, and I tried to play it the first time, and I said, I can't do this. Protorov was the one in the chat on that one, specific, because that was like the very early days of the show. And Protorov, by the way, will be back in March for Game Dev Tycoon for the Switch, which I've already started my practice of this week. But he was on the other end and said, like, I can't get this working, let me pull something else out. I pulled out World of Illusion just to show off, because like, hey, I love this game, I want to show it. But I only played through it with Mickey, and there's a reason to play that game multiple times. In fact, that's why I want my brother on that one, because him and I grew up playing that one in particular. And also because that game, there's a reason to play that game 3 times. And we're going to play it each of the 3 times. So I'll figure that when that's going to happen, but I can't necessarily say to you a guarantee, because he's in another country. So I can't... Ow, shit. I can't guarantee it, but Actually, I don't even know if I've actually explicitly said that I'm holding this game for you. I might have mentioned it, because he knows I do this. He's in a different time zone element, so it's like, yeah, he can't see these live usually. But I'll run that by him, specific. So, that'll be that idea. Wait, hold on, what happened? Okay, no, I hit him, and then I got hit at the same time, I think. Okay, it's fine, I got a game over, because more than anything, I'm just trying to see if I can't get this code down. And we can go into the stuff you want to talk about. Actually, I guess, I guess, like, we're just going into this, because you have the experience with these 3. Have you played the Sega Mickey Mouse games? Specific. And what was your takes on those? Because here's the thing I'll also say, I guess one thing I'll preface my thoughts on this one with is that... I don't... Look, it might be a case where maybe it's a nostalgia element on my sense talking, saying about those. But then again, I'm also saying that I think they're all worth playing. I think they're totally worth going into. And reminding the perspective of when was Mickey Mouse a big video game star? In particular, and also what were different companies doing to really... Okay, that was how I missed getting hit there. Just the idea of what were they doing to bring Mickey Mouse to video games so uniquely? Because Sega had their way, Capcom had their way, and other companies later. I mean, even Epic Mickey, the first one specific. The second one, I got big problems with that second one. But the first one, that was Junction Point Studios. That was Warren Spector who made Deus Ex, who made that. Talk about a game he put his heart and soul into, even though the second game crashed and burned and that company went under because of that game underperforming so badly. And you want to talk frame rate problems, you could say what you say about the frame rate in this game, but hey, that was 1992, whereas that game, the Wii U version of Epic Mickey 2, The Power of Two specific, oh my god, is a disaster area. It is like 10, 15 FPS running... Mostly in areas when there's nothing on screen. And when there is stuff on screen, it's even worse. And it was a launch title for the Wii U, which already had problems with frame rate usually as it was. I mean, let's put it this way, and yeah, I'm gonna deal with this elephant in the room for sure. It makes Pokemon Scarlet and Violet almost look like it's playable. Yeah, I am not in good shape on that one. Although I didn't make the mistake of buying it with all due respect, like, unfortunately, a lot of people I know. Not to shame the people who I know who are saying, like, you shouldn't have bought this, but the sense of, it's gonna sell no matter what, even though every review is basically saying, yeah, the frame rate and the performance on this basically is, I mean, we're talking Driver 3 element on that game in terms of how broken it is. Not just as far as performance, but glitches and crashes, and I'm like, yeah. It's funny, okay, this is the other, I guess, tradition, which is last year I was bad-mouthing the Pokemon game that came out this day, or like yesterday as well, so like now we're doing it again. I played Castle Illusion via the PS3, if that counts. The remake? Because actually, since you played on PS3, one interesting thing that was to that, I don't know if you went about it this way, if you bought it before it came out, if you like did the pre-order for it digitally before it came out, and this was only on the PS3 that they did this, they gave you a port of the Genesis version on top of the remake. And I have the remake for the Xbox 360, we'll definitely play it because I do want to show that. We show the original, but I definitely will show that one. And when I get that Retron 5 thing figured out, I will definitely show off Land of Illusion on Game Gear, because it's a great game. And I'll also try and get the Game Gear Castle of Illusion, because it's totally different. Yeah, but that counts. Yeah, I would definitely. And it definitely is part of that Illusion series, of which, going back to the Epic Mickey thing, there technically is sort of a game in the Illusion series, in the Epic Mickey franchise. Actually, here we go. Let me do this. Hang on. Hold on. Let's hold start and select. Hold on. Walk through. Did it work? I don't know. I guess it didn't work. Also, this Fantasia on Sega Genesis. Please don't play it. Oh shit. Yeah, that was developed by Infogrames. I remember that. Actually, I mentioned that we played Mad Maestro, because I said the story on the game was that Roy Disney was so disgusted by the quality of that game, apparently he ordered the copies of the game to be destroyed. I don't know if that actually happened, because it's insanely common. Yeah, and it came out after Castle of Illusion, I think by a year, and the thought was that Castle of Illusion was great, here's Fantasia. In fact, I used to see the box that's like, okay, great, another game like Castle of Illusion for Genesis. Like, this should be awesome. I never played it, so I don't know. I've seen it. I understand it's supposed to be horrible. But when you say don't play it, I mean, remember, we also have the perspective we could show it off for the show as, like, the April Fool's Day game to get a sense of, you know, what's the problem with it. Especially compared to the good Fantasia game, which is on Xbox 360 and Xbox One, which is a game I can show off in very limited qualities, and I'll have to figure out how and if that can go, which is Fantasia Music Evolved, which is by Harmonix, the people who made Rock Band and Dance Central and Fuser. And the reason I say we might be able to show that is because there's classical music in it. I can't show all the big songs that are in that, of which there's stuff like In Your Eyes by Peter Gabriel, which they have a movement in that basically is hold up the boombox from Say Anything. They have Fuck You by CeeLo Green on the soundtrack, amazingly. The censored version still, but it is there. They had Enjoy the Silence by Depeche Mode in the soundtrack as well. It's a strange soundtrack. They also have Rocket Man by Elton John. Weirdly enough, Rock Band never got that, but that game did. And it had some DLC that unfortunately has been delisted, and you can't even re-download the DLC, which I think I bought one. I think I bought... they put out Just Like Heaven by The Cure, which is on Rock Band 3. And I like that game very much, that Fantasia Music Evolved. Chat, let me know if you played that game. That is a terrific game. It really, to talk about, you know, doing justice to the Fantasia thing, whereas Fantasia on Genesis is a platforming game, this element is like, yeah, this is actually really, really good. So, if I can show it somehow, I'll figure it. It would be only the classical music stuff, otherwise I'd have to mute the whole game. Like, yeah. At that point, it might not be something that's going to be feasible, although I will say one thing, which is, like, first, I know we mentioned this a few months ago. At some point, I want to do a delisted Xbox Live Arcade game night, of which, weirdly enough, that Castlevania remake was delisted for a while, and I think it's back now, so I guess, I don't know. Oh, well, okay, actually, no, I guess the reason it came back is because I guess Sega paid for the license again for the Sega Genesis Mini. So it is available again, but weird enough, I think it only got listed on 360 and Xbox One. They put it backwards compatible on Xbox One, I think right after they said, oh, by the way, we're getting rid of this. But you can buy it again. I think it's $15 as far as it, and totally is worth it. And going back to the thing with PS3, it gave you the original, I think, initially when you bought it, but you can't get it that way anymore, with the Genesis game included. But we're going to do a delisted night. I might be able to show off some aspects of Rock Band Blitz, because that is a delisted game. I have a massive back catalog of stuff, and there are songs that are from video games that I have. There's also some classical stuff that I might not get a content flag on. Actually, because I know there's some music from Super Meat Boy. There's the Donuts Go Nuts song from Explosion Man, and this might be a licensed thing. I'll have to look into this. They're Still Alive by Jonathan Colton. That might be a licensed thing from Portal. If I can get away with showing something of that, I will, because that's going to go with the delisted element, because there's definitely a lot of stuff, and I realized when we talked about that a couple months ago, I said I was going to figure out what's our delisted game element, because I got tons as far as demos, so it's going to be... That could be a showcase show in and of itself, but I don't think I want to necessarily wait till next Thanksgiving to do it, if that makes sense. So, I might do another case. It'd be another thing. Also, the Castlevania remake is on Steam. Yeah, it is. And I think it's also on the mobile platforms, interestingly enough. I think it's on iOS and Android. Yeah, Switch never got it, weirdly enough, which is kind of strange. Although I guess maybe it would have been years later when that happened. Although even when they did the backwards compatible on Xbox One for it, you think that, okay, maybe they'd put it on the Switch, but they did not. Okay, shit. Okay, I got to show that at least, because, yeah, when you get bitten by them, that is an instant kill. Yeah, I mean, I don't know, did you like the Castlevania remake? I think it's really good. Actually, I mentioned we played Castlevania, the Genesis game. It was a great case of coming full circle, because the plot of the game is basically the plot of Banjo-Kazooie, and Banjo-Kazooie basically has the same plot as Castlevania, and Greg Kirkhope, who did music for Banjo-Kazooie, did the music for the remake. And it's terrific. And also, he does give you the option also to listen to Genesis music in it, which is also a nice touch. And some point we'll definitely play that remake, and we'll do Banjo-Kazooie as well. That's Edwack. He wants to play that for us. I think we're going to do that at some point next year. We'll figure when. Yeah, you did like it. Okay. I liked it a lot, too, and it also the idea of smartly updating the game, and I think I mentioned we played, actually, yeah, 2 years ago on this weekend, when we played Castlevania. They add a narrator to it. If you ever played Bastion by, what was it? I'm trying to remember the name of the company that made Bastion. you have a narrator going on, which actually is really a nice touch, where you open the door and he says, like, Mickey opened the door, and he was kind of nervous. It's like, which goes to that idea, even the nervousness of him, like, running away from the apple, which takes a different take when you play it in that game. For sure. And it goes to the other idea of the thought that, hey, I think it was, actually, the other thing about that game is I think it was one of the few games by Sega Studios Australia. What did I get hit by? I'll look back on the video. Also, I'm gonna have myself recovering. I think it was either one of, if not the only game they made. Unfortunately, then I think they went out of business afterwards. Also, they tie in actually with the ending of the Genesis game in the sense that it makes sense that it is kind of a storybook element because the end of the first one, they do show it in a movie theater. The remake opens that way, which is a nice touch. As I said, it was also a great kind of love letter to that. In my case, I remember that was 2013 that came out. It was a unique one for me because that was, within the period of 2 weeks, was the remake of that and then the remake of DuckTales from Capcom. So the idea of, the Capcom Disney game, which was by way forward, the people made Shantae and River City Girls. That's another really good one. At some point, we'll definitely play that because that game is fantastic. In fact, actually, the way we could run that, I could show the NES version at the same time if you want to, or you can do them separately. Because I have the Disney Afternoon collection on Xbox One that has that and its sequel in it, and the sequel costs a lot of money, so yeah, $20 for that thing is totally a deal. Though on Xbox One it stutters for some reason. I don't know why it does that, so I'll have to figure something for that. Alright, but yeah, we're going through the tree again. Also, I will remember to get the hidden shop, because I didn't last time. While also trying to survive and show off what the differences are, because I guess lifers are going to this, and anyone else in chat too, which is, I don't know, when you beat this game eventually, did you ever beat it on hard? Yeah, at this point it's harder because, yeah, the worms come out of the holes a lot quicker. You can still kill them, but because they come out so quick, it's probably not worth it, and you have to swim past, which is not always an easy thing to do. So yeah, they are making this harder in some interesting ways, in ways that do feel like a logical extension, or the idea that, hey, if this game is... Maybe if you've played this game so much that you're, like the back of your hand, you want to try something a little different, yeah, this is a unique way to do that. Oh, alright, yeah, I want to be careful of that, because, yeah, you can get hurt by that door. Also, yeah, I'm noticing that on the background. Actually, I didn't notice that. It looks like there's, like, sort of air blown in the water. That's kind of cool. Oh, shit! Yeah, I should have been watching where I was going, but, yeah, since I have an unlimited continues, I should say, and since... I already beat the game on normal. That's fine, and I can't do the code for this. Maybe if I can stitch in, I will. But we'll see. Yeah, this is going to be more of a relaxed thing. We just, talk our memories of certain things and go into other things that are going on, of which, as I mentioned, that Pokemon thing, which is... Yeah, they have to patch that game. It's a disaster, it really is. But unfortunately, I think it's going to be a problem because, yeah, people are buying it. I mean, it's going to be selling 50 million units probably by the end of the year, no matter what. So it's the question of, I don't know, are people going to be okay with the idea of how it's running? And then I guess also the other shocking thing, which is actually Yuji Naka. He was arrested this week. He is being charged with insider trading in regards to his time at Square. Sort of with Balan Wonderworld, but also, I think, with Dragon Quest. Interesting. I know, Kaz22 in the chat, you're a big one on Dragon Quest. But yeah, that's definitely gonna be a weird thing as far as what that's looking like, because, like, yeah, was he actually doing that, and does it necessarily mean that his career is over? I mean, I guess it's gonna depend on, is he convicted of that necessarily, which time will tell. By the way, yeah, you fall down here, you will be safe, and you will find, the shop. Okay, yeah, you can get multiple hearts. Actually, I did not know that. Yeah, let's get multiple hearts. I'll get more ammo going on later. Actually, I never saw the multiple hearts. So maybe that's something exclusive for hard. Also, the other detail I'm noticing, yeah, the trees in the background, the haunted peat trees. I did not notice that. Ow. And yeah, this boss, I believe, will take more punishment from my charge, but still he'll get hurt badly. In that case, the hardest part usually is when he throws out the, the spike balls. Also, yeah, I didn't show that, the hula. He throws the spiked hula out, so yeah, talk about that idea. Never before has hula dancing been so deadly. Yeah, in that case, he's done. But yeah, I gotta get some health, so you know what? I'm gonna switch out. Alright, so, yeah, definitely going well with this, and I'm having a good time just experiencing this game. And I think that's the idea. Like, you mentioned this. The idea of the experience, the magical atmosphere it creates. It is nice as far as how it is, and you do feel... I'll tell you, it's... I don't know if I've mentioned this specifically. The idea of being transported by something. A game, a movie, a book, anything really. This game definitely does a terrific job. I mean, games can do that anyway, as far as it... But it's pretty unique how this does it, even against the Sega games of Disney. I should say, or Mickey Mouse. Ow. Alright, better me dying that way than dying the other way. Alrighty. Yeah, sometimes I just have to take the idea of, you know, dying for certain things and other things. Like, it's better, I guess, I didn't get eaten than... Or I got hit by... Or got hit and died as opposed to gotten eaten and died. Basically, yeah, how do you want to go out? Specific. Oh, shit. Or I guess I was thinking... I don't know, this is maybe a weird tangent, I guess, this way. I was out shopping today, because I know I need to do that for the holiday coming up and everything. I remember going down the aisle, I saw, like, Tombstone Pizzas. I was thinking, like, that's a name I haven't heard in a long time. And I think they rebranded it, sort of. I remember, like, the commercials used to go, like, you know, what do you want on your tombstone? And I was thinking, like, fine, with this, I guess the idea of, you know, died by hitting a fish in the foot, but at least I didn't get eaten. Or, if you've ever seen the movie The Royal Tenenbaums, there's actually a pretty hilarious detail of an epitaph of a character near the end. I will not give that away, because that would be spoiled the picture if you haven't seen it. Which is probably, of the movies of, God, who's the name of the director? I should know. Wes Anderson that I've seen. It's probably my favorite movie of his, although I've not seen Rushmore or Bottle Rocket, and I've heard those are supposed to be the best ones. Yeah, same deal with the spider, the Mode 7 spider. Ow. Actually, I also should show one other thing, which is that, yeah, when he gets over this way... Yeah, also, yeah, if you get him into a corner like this, you can still sort of jump on his chin. Alright, I'm waiting for one thing. I'm waiting for him to do that shoot up, because I want to show this. Yeah, you get tied up. It does not hurt you. Okay, no, it didn't hurt me. So it does show that interesting element of the animation that way, but... Okay, alright, okay, so here's the thing, just go back to that ElecVerse with this boss, which is that, yeah, fuck this guy, because he's really hard to hit, and you have to be right there on the chin, for sure, with that. I mean, compare that to the spider boss in World of Illusion. We'll see that when we get to playing that eventually. But at least the legs are not hit points. So there is the element that, yeah, you can sort of avoid getting hit by him, even if he touches you a little bit, anyway. And thank God I hit him with that, because that was my last energy. Although in this case, I could jump on him and still be okay. And also, I believe that going into the next level, I think my power for this recovers. I think, but we'll take a look and see if it does or doesn't. Because I know I need shots for that for the mini-boss coming up in the next world. But... if nothing else, this game is fair also in the sense that, well, when you die and you run into a problem, it's your fault. You get the sense of being able to admit that. But also that they will give you usually enough ammo to be running something for power. And then if you use it up, fine, it's your fault you used it up. Although, maybe not your fault in the sense of knowing that, you know, you shouldn't have used it. Okay, it does recover when you go out of level. Fantastic. Alright, so we're going down to hell again. And the change in this one on hard is that... there are more enemies coming down. Actually, on easy, there are no enemies here. At least I don't think there are. But same deal as before. Just pull out Mickey. Just be fresh this way so you can pick up the blocks. Yeah, sometimes you just want to be normal Mickey just to do that. And be ready for that and just hit him that way. Yeah, there are many more of the gargoyle enemies here. I think the item layouts and things are going to be the same as far as the blocks and some of the hidden things like the big chests. Or fine, the big boxes, I should say. And also one other thing I guess to note, when you do the pickup of the item, you don't have to hold the Y button down to keep holding it, just keep holding on its own. Alright, so let's see what's going on here. You can also use that to get through this faster, but yeah, unless you're me, when we were playing earlier, yeah, you should be able to survive that. As long as you just keep hitting that Y button. And just keep your walk going along. Oh, yeah. I was like, yeah, that would have been embarrassing getting crushed by that. But alright, fine. We have the full energy for this. Let's kill him. Yeah, well, so yeah, sending him to hell is like, fine, we're in hell, I guess. But, okay, yeah, probably shouldn't have picked that up. Oh, okay, that's the other thing. This, the shoot up for that goes way faster. So, yeah, you're not necessarily going to be able to avoid that as easily. Eventually I have it, I'm stuck over here on the side. Yeah, you know what, back. Get back! Okay, got him. Okay, I was nervous there. I was like, yeah, he's gonna hit that and I'm gonna die. But no, thank God. Alright, so same idea, we'll go get the firefighter outfit. That's one thing I will say about this game is I love the concept of these costumes. There's also the kind of thing that, I mean, as I said, I guess there's a code I think you can put in, just have everything at once, that I guess I can't get working. But one thing I guess would have been interesting if this had like a new game plus mode in the sense that you can start it with all of the powers again. Because the other interesting thing, as I mentioned, is that you can kind of use, for certain bosses, you can kind of use them in unique ways. Well, actually, you know what, I'll try one thing then. Oh, I was out of health. I was like, wait, why did I die? I was like, oh, I was out of health. I should pay attention to that. Fine, at least I died here, so I can come here and just be ready. I'm gonna try on the boss here, actually. So I guess this is gonna be more experimental now. Now I'm thinking about this. I'm gonna try using the magician's outfit just to see if it makes a difference. Because I know the idea is you're supposed to put the fire out, but can you kill him with that? Because we showed. Oh, well, fine. I didn't show with the bird. I'll show with the bird when we get to him how I did it on the test play, just for the purpose of variety. And for that, feel free to keep going. I want, you know, I don't want to quit on this. I want to keep trying to hit this. You know what? Fine. Oh no. No. Okay. Yeah. All right. Fine. I got to give up trying that. It's not gonna work. At least the way I'm doing it's not gonna work. Also, yeah, I didn't go in here, so I may as well go in here and grab this. Yeah. Unfortunately, I guess the coin fell off. Oh shit. I was like, wait, yeah, I can't walk over. Actually, yeah, you also have the fire enemies. Many more of them here, which actually, there are enemies like this in, yeah, it's Land of Illusion on Game Gear. I don't know, Chad, if you played that one. I definitely want to show that off. That's a game I adore. That's one I grew up with, for sure. Yeah, if I can get that Retron 5, I can show off Game Gear much easier. I can show off Game Gear cartridges much easier, let's put it that way. Because I can show any of the Sonic games that you want to see because they're all in collections. But everything else, I have physically. Ouch, shit. Now, fine, let's go down this way. Actually, this I never saw. Okay, there's another life. So, alright, fine, there are lives. I was gonna say this game is stingy with lives, but... Okay, apparently not if you know where to look. Yeah, because I guess of other stuff, Game Gear, that I have that I want to show off. Ow. I have the Game Gear version of Dynamite Headdy. We're gonna show the Genesis version off, or the Mega Drive version, technically, when we get back to doing that. I also have the game based on Jurassic Park on Game Gear, which might be the best Jurassic Park game ever made. At least the best one I've played. It's really, really good. Even compared to the Genesis ones, which... The Genesis ones are... They got their problems. It's the people who made, Vector Man, who made those. Blue Sky Software. Who also did make a Disney game. They made, The Little Mermaid on the Genesis. I think they made the Game Gear version of that as well, which I remember not being very good from what I understand. Yeah, Disney had good runs usually with certain things, even with Sega, but with Sega, I know they still had some cases where certain things were not great. The Little Mermaid, I know, was one of those. I grew up playing the Tailspin game on Genesis. I don't remember it being really bad, but looking back on it, I'm thinking, like, wait a minute, maybe it wasn't that great, compared to the NES version, which we showed off a little bit in the Showcase show 2 years ago. But, yeah, some of them were kind of weird. In fact, and we mentioned we played Aladdin. We mentioned that Blue Sky was making the Aladdin game, and Patrick Gilmore of Disney was so disgusted, he said, you start over, we're going to start with a new team. And they went to Virgin Games, basically the people who would become Shiny eventually, to make that, and then the rest was history. Oh, shit. Actually, wait, can I go down? There's the weird thing. Actually, let me also switch to this. Or no, not switch to Mickey. Switch to this. Yeah, because otherwise I won't be able to breathe in the water. Yeah, because there's the item down here, but... Or the health extender. Because, yeah, here's the thing. I think that's... Oh, okay, I want to try something. Also, I think can you kill this thing? Ow. Alright, come by. Okay, yeah, you can kill him. So, alright, you can kill the fish. Okay, no, it's not a bottomless pit. I was gonna say, wait a minute. Some of these look like bottomless pits, but over there it looked like, oh, wait a minute, there's kind of a floor there, so I should be able to walk on it. Also, yeah, that's another great effect. I love that. The idea that, yeah, the platforms catch on fire because there's water down there. The water just puts the fire, which is a great touch. And actually, at this point, I do need to have this. But I'll try to fight the boss without it, just to see if I can even use it. Because I know there's certain bosses you do still need to fight with the costume that they intend you to fight with. And I'm trying to remember, because my memories on Great Circus Mystery are a little hazy. Feel free, chat, to remind me of this if you know. Were there bosses in that game that you could use really any one of the costumes to fight? Because I don't know necessarily how open a lot of these are in terms of that, except for some of the cases that I'll show or try to show. Okay, I don't have enough for the other thing, so let's just keep going. Actually, yeah, I should also probably go back for that life, or find for this life. And that's the other thing, the item layouts do not change when you come back on higher difficulties. It's not like DuckTales, where DuckTales, I know it changes that significantly. I know especially the remastered game does that, where they will change it specifically. And actually, I remember the harsh difficulty on that, which is the only achievement I don't have out of that game. You have to go through the entire game without continues. And I think I got to the last jump in the game and died. And I was so frustrated when I missed that jump. I was like, oh no, I had to start it over. Actually, I think well, okay, fine, I'll be honest this way. I actually kind of sort of threw my 360 controller on the back of that, and I usually try not to be that case of, losing my temper that way, because, some of this stuff costs money, but it was like, fine, I threw it against the bed, sorta, but I think it kind of went off. It still worked, so I was like, yeah, okay, I gotta be careful not to do that. Which, I guess that's a good thing for this show, in the sense that of the games we played, I've never necessarily gotten so insanely frustrated that I said, I was gonna do something like that. That'll be a question whenever we play Astro Boy Mega Factor. That's one I know I'm gonna have to reckon with eventually. That game is insanely hard. And even Contra Hardcore, but I'm practicing Contra Hardcore. I'm gonna be ready for that. And like, for instance, I know you wanted to see that. I'm not gonna half-ass that game. I know I can't. Okay, let's see if I can hurt him with this thing. I don't think I can. Yeah, I can. Okay, I just wanted to see. Because that's sometimes we always will do on the show, like, what happens if this happens? Yeah, and I'll also be able to show you, yeah, the debilitating slowdown. But, as I said, compared to Pokemon Scarlet and Violet, this is far better. Which is sad. It shouldn't be that way. But, yeah, the fire goes back a lot quicker. And since the platforms are going to switch this way quickly, yeah, if you miss a shot, you're sometimes going to be a case where, yeah, he's going to go back to red really quickly. Alright. Usually what you want to do for this, actually, I think I realized I don't really say what the strategy on this is, because when you get him down to the purple, he'll change the speed, he'll go faster, the platforms go faster. But also what you usually want to do with that is, okay, yeah, he's back to red again. You usually want to kind of stop shooting and then jump or fall down the platform that's below for that. And also, since he changes, when he changes color, his pattern will change in terms of the direction he goes. So basically just go on to that. And also, use your invisibility frames to your advantage when it comes to the idea that, hey, you got hit and you fell on a platform that has lava on it. Also, make sure you shoot the lava away before it gets to platforms that have the fire, otherwise, well, fine, you'll have to just shoot it again for fire. Yeah, this boss can take a long time, because of this very reason. Oh, or yeah, don't crouch underneath it. He's just there. He's not moving, it's just that the platforms are moving, which makes it a bit harder. Alright, yeah, let's put this fire out, and, we'll be set to this. But I still do like this idea, and I think it is unique as far as the thought that how this game is operating with its outfits. And of what I remember, Great Circus Mystery doing this too, although to what degree it's been a while. And I know that it's unique, I think, because, chat, correct me if this is not right, from what I've understood on the Magical Quest 3, or Magical Adventure 3 as Japan calls it, I believe the effect of the outfit changes based on the character who's running it. Which is also a unique thing, whereas I believe in the Game Boy Advance version of this, Minnie and Mickey play exactly the same. In Great Circus Mystery, it's the same in terms of how the outfits are impacting them, and then it's Magic Quest 3 that changes it so that they're all the same, or they're all different. Alright, yeah. Actually, no, I think it's the Knight outfit, I believe, is one case with that third game, which I think that with Donald, you basically just have a barrel on you at all times, as far as, like, being really roughshod, whereas Mickey, he's actually the knight you expect, which I guess works on a character method with Mickey and Donald in the sense that, remember, who gets stuck with all the bad luck, no one but Donald Duck. But the sense that, hey, he'll make it work as much as he can when, life draws him the short, or he draws the short straw in life. You can still feasibly get it done, and there are definitely Donald Duck games you can play of which, when I get Game Gear situated, I have, I don't know, Chad, if you played this, Deep Duck Trouble, which was, I think it's the same people actually who made the Jurassic Park game, who made that. And there's also one I wanted to play, I never played it, the Lucky Dime Caper. And on Genesis, I have Quackshot, which I love Quackshot. The game's awesome. It's kind of a little bit of an Indiana Jones thing, and there's also a little bit of a Mega Man to it in the sense that you're going back and forth between levels that you can select on your own. And you basically can pick up powers to find hidden areas. And the good news is, going back to the Genesis thing with the Streets of Rage 2 problem I had last week, it is one of the games that worked when I put it in, so we can definitely play it. And it's unique. It definitely is a cool one. Actually, that's one I didn't grow up with. I grew up with the every other one except that one, as far as the Sega stuff. But then I think I bought it. Yeah, I bought it from my local retro game shop about, I think 7 years ago. And I really liked it. I said, man, I wish I played this growing up. And I'll say that with this game, I kind of wish the same thing with this one, even though I played its sequel. Because fine, I played the Genesis stuff and the Game Gear stuff. Well, fine, some of it. I didn't play... Actually, because the only Mickey Mouse game I played on Game Gear was Land of Illusion. I didn't play Legend of Illusion, which was, I think, the last one. And then the Castle of Illusion, which is totally different. I always wanted to, though. Like, come on. I got him, thank you. Alright, thank God he's dead. But yeah, it was interesting, I guess, that idea with it. In terms of how Quackshot was something unique, and one I would have liked to play growing up. But yeah, we can definitely do that. And yeah, I think might be a good idea just to say, like, hey, let's at least have a dedicated Disney game the weekend before Thanksgiving. Just because, I guess it fits in one other way, which is that Disney usually has a big movie out, or like an animated movie coming out. Although, feasibly, that doesn't necessarily mean that, oh yeah, we can just do a Disney animated game like this. I mean, I could also screw with that a little bit by saying, like, let's play Split Second, if you played Split Second, which is a racing game that Disney published. That was by, Black Rock Studios, which is this great racing game where you're kind of causing all this destructive elements to it. I'll put a picture of what Split Second is, and chat, let me know if you ever played Split Second. That game is awesome. You're basically driving around, you're basically setting off traps of things where you're getting the sense of being able to, like, the first level, you're kind of driving through an airport, and you basically set off pressure points by getting close to the area, basically, like, detonate a bomb near them, and then, like, the tower, like, the air traffic control tower of this abandoned airport. And yeah, you're right, ElecVerse, the timer is going on the cutscene here. And basically just crush opponents that way. It's really cool. It's kind of like Burnout a little bit, mixed a little bit with MotorStorm. In fact, actually, it was like the better take even on the third MotorStorm game, MotorStorm Apocalypse, which is on the PS3. And so we showed those MotorStorm games as well. Those are really, really good. But yeah, Split Second's another one, so yeah, that would technically be a Disney game. I could say, like, yeah, we'll play Split Second. That is Disney-specific. Although, yeah, imagine Mickey Mouse, you know, driving around the way. Although, there is also the Mickey Mouse driving game, racing game I have, which is Mickey Speedway USA for Nintendo 64. It's by Rare. But when we get to that, I'll tell you, we're gonna wait one thing specific till we play that. I missed the grab. And that's another game over. It doesn't matter, because I said we beat the game already, we're just going in. My mom loves Split Second. A woman of taste, clearly. That is a fantastic game. I'm glad to hear that, because it's one of those games that, when it came out, it was well reviewed, but it's one that I don't think necessarily sold that great, despite the fact it was on PS3, it was on Xbox 360, I think it was even on PSP, if I remember correctly. It's insanely fun. It's this idea of the destructive racing game. And we're actually, one of the racing games I have next week is kind of going into that element a little differently, for sure. One of the ones I'm thinking that I have on our Dreamcast showcase list for next week goes in that a bit. But it is very unique. It's one that I always think about, and sometimes this has been the idea, and we mentioned this before, the idea of games that we either don't think get a lot of attention, or get remembered, or get enough love, or maybe got missed. And to be fair, as I mentioned, I'm just as guilty with certain things as other people. No question about that. I keep missing that. That's my fault. Like, I'm just missing the shot. So I gotta be a little more careful. But Split Second is definitely one of those. And it's also one of those things that, I guess, I don't think it's one that costs a lot of money. So I definitely would love to show that, just because of it. But it is a great thing to hear people who played it, because it's one of those things that, it's one of the best kept racing secrets of that console generation. Well, I guess that, and a game I always wanted to play, but I didn't play, Blur, which is also on PS3 and Xbox 360 from Bizarre Creations, who made a game, yeah, we'll show next week. Hello, Dolly Finn, so good to see you. We were playing Magical Quest starring Mickey Mouse for Super Nintendo. for its 30th anniversary tomorrow, technically, but in Japan it is right now. So good to see you. Hope you're doing well, and feel free to let us know any of your memories on this game if you played it, anything Mickey Mouse based, because we've definitely had a good time going into that as far as everything we've had with this game. I'm playing it again. I'm running it on hard, by the way, as we're running the interesting elements of the costumes, including playing as Not Red Spencer from Bionic Commando, doing the hook on that. Oh, yeah, by the way, also, when you're swinging, you can also kick the enemies as they come by, so you are actually technically invisible when this runs. Yeah, I think, yeah, Dolly Finn, ElecVerse certainly is happy to see you. I'm happy to see you. I think everyone in chat is happy to see you, and it is so good to see you tonight. And it's good to have you, for sure, for the show. And also, look forward to the show next week, which I know is something you wanted to see for that racing game showcase. We were actually talking, when you just jumped on, racing games. I was saying one thing was interesting, which I'll indicate now that you're here, which is, okay, I missed the jump. That's my fault. Loving Mickey Mouse. Yeah, okay, definitely a good thing to that. Loving seeing him, I guess, with this game or other elements of games with him. Feel free to let us know what some of your favorite games with Mickey Mouse might be that you might have played, or memories of this character. I mean, we saw him in Kingdom Hearts. Actually, that was one thing I was mentioning that I realized. I didn't plan this, but it seems like... I realized every show that we've had for this program, or the past 3 years I've done it, the show before Thanksgiving weekend has been a Disney game every time. It was, Castle of Illusion for Sega Genesis, 2 years ago. Last year was Kingdom Hearts, because we were at part 3 for that at the time. And this year it's Magical Quest starring Mickey Mouse. So I guess feasibly then, I guess this is going to be another tradition, I guess. The fact that we'll play a Disney game. And I mentioned Split Second, which is a racing game that Disney published. But then the question of, yeah, that could be counting as a Disney game just because of the fact that, hey, it's something they published out. But yeah, we definitely have a lot of those as it's been. And we had that with Nocturne with Aladdin back in July. So a nice time playing it. Oh, so by the way, one other thing I'll show is that the Pete Guard is a little invulnerable. Oh, no, he is invincible or invulnerable to the hook. So basically you have to jump on him, but you basically use the hook to take the shield away. Mickey Mania, that was the one. Well, we played Mickey Mania back in February. That was, we played the Sega CD version of that one. I guess you have the memories of that one. And there's something to be said about that, because we mentioned when we played that game. And I'll link to the play of that for anybody who didn't see it. I mean, my first and Dolly Finn, I know you were there for that play. So you know that way. No, Chasm22 was in the chat earlier. Or fine, I saw him as far as that he had said hi for this. I don't know if he's seen that, because yeah, there's an interesting play we had of that game, and a unique one, especially the way we showed it. And a good one, for sure. It was definitely showing the idea of the evolution of Mickey Mouse in gaming, which was unique. Actually, you know what? I'll show also one thing. Yeah, I got hit by that. Yeah, here we go. We're gonna make a very, daring escape. I'm hanging. If I fall, I die. But I'm gonna wait till the wind goes, and... Okay, missed. I'm gonna show this. I'm gonna try and show that you can actually do this. Because I beat the game already, running on hard now, just because of this. And you have unlimited continues. It's not like, Castle of Illusion. Much as I love Castle of Illusion, it is insanely hard because you don't have, infinite continues. And actually, on its hardest difficulty, there are no continues whatsoever. Okay, so, there we go. Okay, so, yeah, one thing is, when you have the hook on like that, if you hit the Y button, you let go. But if you hit right on D-pad or left on D-pad, when you get to the end of your swing, you will go off. So actually, in that case, and since you do... Oh, shit, I extended down too far, and I got a game over. Which is fine. I have infinite continues, no issue. I just want to show that you can do this, because it shows the skill of this game and how, yeah, there is a open element to this game that is unique. Even against the stuff Sega was doing, because I mentioned, I have a lot of experience with the Sega Mickey Mouse games specific, for the Genesis and Game Gear. Actually, fine, we'll do it this way. Oh! Yeah, I'll see if I can do this better. Oh yeah, don't extend my hook too far, otherwise I'm gonna die. Oh, okay, yeah, unfortunately I did because I got hit by the wind. Okay, now I'm just being stubborn this way, but fine, I'll go down where the wind is. Because I guess usually the idea is you don't want to hit the wind, otherwise you're gonna get yourself blown down and maybe die, but, because I was doing test play on this earlier this week, I realized, wait, I did that by accident, I hit the Y button and hit it. Okay, so yeah, just extend a little bit. Yeah, just be careful. Now, let's see if I can do this. Yeah, so it also shows the idea of just how the controls are and how open the idea of using the hook is. When we ever played Bionic Commando, it's very much like that. Okay, actually, I never saw this. Actually, I didn't even come down. Fine, I made a daring save of myself when I did my test play. I actually never saw this, so alright, fine, this is cool. You know, fine, let's, actually, I think I can hook this thing. Let's hook it. Okay, never mind, I can't hook it. Let's shoot it. Yeah, because the whole element, let us know if you played this game or not. you have your costumes here. You have Magician Mickey where you have to charge up a magic, you just shoot it at everything. Get coins. You also have the mountain climbing gear, which you showed. And then you have the firefighter. Basically, you're using your fire hose to break blocks or to push blocks around or put out fires. Which is very nice. Alright, so let's keep going. Alright, so it does give you a little bit of an incentive to come down here. Not just the fact of, oh, I missed the jump or got blown down here. And I can kind of do this and sort of time it. It's not too hard to do it, so in that case, yeah, with some practice, you can get it running. And since you don't have to worry of a continue case, and when you're on this, the wind will not blow you away, as you'll see in the next boss. Yeah, that's how that's going to operate. Alright, swing, swing, swing. Alright, let's see if I can do this. Oh, right, there's another platform, and you can hook on the platform as well. Or I can just jump on that. Alright, there you go. So that is the way to get past here without dying, but yeah, it is not easy. Oh, shit. Oh, then I died at the end. I had to speak. I won't do it again, but it's like, alright, fine, that's how that operates. And I do love that element as well. So it does give a lot of... There are a lot of hidden secrets. In fact, even ElecVerse, I think, was mentioning, saying that, hey, there's certain things he hadn't seen, and the things that I didn't know until I was just doing my test. It's not by accident. Alright, fine, I guess I'm falling down there again, but I didn't hit it at the time. Alright, so another game over, but we're on hard mode. This is not, as I said, this is not necessarily intended as a massive show of skill, and you do have a high score, but, yeah, that's basically just the idea of it. Yeah, we're almost out of this, so yeah, I'll be a little more careful this time. But as I said, it's mostly open mic night now as far as how this is, for sure. And also because this is a short game. So that's the idea. And I guess I've realized that might be the way to handle certain elements of short games, just because of the fact of, alright, let's give enough of a perspective. And not because, like, hey, you know, if I can't show anything more and it has to end after, like, an hour and 15 minutes, then fine. But if I can avoid that, that's fine. Alright, yeah, I can just kick him off. Oh, actually, no, he just walked past, so... You are invincible, so that is a invincibility element when you're doing the hold. And also hit up on D-pad, you can do the hook upwards. Yeah, B. Yeah, actually, I forgot to mention that. On hard, there are more Bs around, so you have to be careful on that. Oh. Yeah, but Mickey's getting spiked. Oh, yeah, alright, fine. The hook will not protect you from the spikes, but also if you're on the spikes, that could be a problem unless I bounce on him. Ow. Come on. Yeah, I'm kind of stuck, but I was like, yeah, I probably should go the other way. Can I swing? Actually, yeah, no, I don't think I can. Alright, fine. I guess I'm gonna die just because of the fact that unless I hook on that, there we go. There we go, got it. Yeah, and the hook, by the way, the hitbox on the hook is a little forgiving. Yeah, because I'm basically right at the top of the hook. Not exactly on the orb. But, yeah, as long as you hit it specifically that way, you're good. And, yeah, that will at least knock him out of the air. So you can be set with that, with the B. Like, yeah. Be careful of the hatching eggs. And, yeah, just want to make sure that was the end of it. Alright, fine, we're done with this. I'll get to show the boss again. In fact, I'll show the boss the way I fought it when I did the test play. Because I mentioned, what you're normally supposed to do is hook onto this and avoid, you know, the bird. Because, yeah, when he does that most 7 effect, not Dynablade, as I'm going to call him this way. Oh, no, I don't want to be, that Mickey. He'll blow you away and you can fall off and die. Yeah, when I first played this, I just did that. I was like, alright, fine. But keep that on so that when I do this, I don't die. Oh, no. Actually, I probably should show getting blown off just because. I'll try not to. Well, okay, yeah, this is what I was doing for the test play when I first fought this boss, which is feasible. It's just that, yeah, it is random, by the way, what it'll do. Let's see. I was gonna say, can I avoid not being blown away? But, yeah, I guess I can. Alright, fine. I did beat it with this way, or this method, but that's not what they intended to do. They intended to use the hook, so I may as well just use that. Yeah, do it the right way. Not be necessarily a daredevil. But I say, here's the other thing, because I believe the pattern is a little random in the sense that the bird will come down or come back after that. He might go into the background and do that, but he doesn't always. Oh, yeah, okay, I just avoided getting killed there. Because, alright, it came out right when he was coming on screen. Or she was coming on screen, I guess, because it's, got little bird eggs. And as I mentioned, I mentioned Dynablade from Kirby Superstar. It's not like Dynablade in the sense that, oh yeah, yeah, I won't spoil that. It's a little bit of a misunderstanding, I'll say that. Not in this case. This bird's out for blood. Which makes sense, I guess, because, yeah, we're here. The bird probably thinks that we're going after her young. But yeah, she has a lot of young. She has tons of eggs, and they're like 3 that come out at once. Yeah, and it does make the game chug a bit. Yeah, this game has... Uh-oh. Yeah, this game does have slowdown elements, for sure, as you were mentioning earlier. Although the other thing is, like, you can also hold on this, because, yeah, you can just knock the birds out, and you'll be safe. Well, almost. Oh! Oh! Oh, okay, what was... Okay, what was that? Okay, whoa, look at that. Yo, what's on his head? It looked like... Wait a second. It looks like the struggle animation was kind of glitched out a little bit. I've never seen that part, and... Okay, apparently being on that without swinging means you die. Okay, I've never seen it that way before. Alright, let's try again. Especially because, yeah, we're at my last life. Yeah, as long as you get a good rhythm down, it can be okay, but, you know, like we're saying, like, yeah, I hate this boss. Like, well, or is it insanely hard? Like, yeah, I get it. It makes total sense. Which I guess goes to one thing as I mentioned earlier, which is that, you know, for a game based on Mickey Mouse, you think that, oh yeah, they're gonna make it really easy or Martinize it for children. I mean, I guess to a certain extent, they give you difficulty options to be able to manage it better, with the bosses taking less hits and things, but, not entirely. So you still have to bring a little bit of an A game to this, but also still feel satisfied even with the lower difficulties that, you know, you beat this boss. Although the hardest case is when, yeah, when it's in the center like that, because it means you can't necessarily throw it easily. Ow. And if you don't get the, egg off quickly, or don't get it quickly before she hatches, it's a problem. Ah, damn. Yeah, just let the birds go. It's like, yeah, the birds are, set, and you can pick up the birds and throw them. Actually, you can throw them at, the bird, or the big bird, I should say. What would you say is the age range for this? Anyone. As I was mentioning, the perspective of Mickey Mouse being a character for everyone, there are 3 difficulties running on the hard mode, where, as you're seeing here, there's more of the birds that come out, the boss takes more hits, you start with fewer health items, and I got blown away, I'm dead. But you can also put it on easy, where the bosses take less damage, you start with more health. You have infinite continues in this game, unlike Castle of Illusion. Where Castle of Illusion, you're limited. Also, unlike Castle of Illusion, one thing this game doesn't do is that in that game, if you turn on its easiest mode, Practice, you get a shortened version of the game that's about 10 minutes, so that young children can complete it pretty quickly, and then you can put it on normal to get a better sense of it, playing the whole game with all its levels and bosses and everything, because there are no bosses in the practice mode of that, and then play it on hard where there's no continues, and unless you're using a unit that has save states on it, yeah, good luck. I've never even beaten that game on hard. I can beat this one on hard because it has infinite continues. It's nice that way. I mean, there's something to be said about that. I guess the idea of Mickey Mouse for it, and we're also talking about with this game that it goes to the perspective of stuff with it being a little darker with Mickey Mouse, the way Mickey Mouse tends to be, like it was with Mickey Mania. You mentioned that one. We saw stuff with the darkness of that. Even the boss music, it sounds very playful in some ways, but also a little menacing in the sense of like, yeah, you gotta be careful, otherwise, you know, Mickey's gonna die. So in that way, it kind of works a lot of different ways, and I guess it tends to be the idea with a lot of games with Mickey Mouse in it. And sometimes some of the more interesting ones when they kind of play with stuff with dark elements, like with, I mentioned, at some point we can show this, Epic Mickey, which is on the Wii. Which actually, in Epic Mickey, one thing interesting too, that since the first one was only on the Wii, they actually were able to go to Capcom and get there are levels you can go in that game, like the old wasteland areas, like the junkyards. You can find discarded copies, cartridge copies of this game and also of Mickey Mousecapade from the NES. Specific in there, and that's a game that also is going a little darker with certain things about itself. So actually, in that case, yeah, there are references direct to Magical Quest and Mickey Mousecapade in that game. And I Mickey Mousecapade, which was Capcom published, it was developed by Hudson Soft. I think it was the Mile Secret Castle team that made that, because it plays a lot like it. At some point, Edwack wants to do that, but he's going to be doing other stuff first. He's like, I let him borrow my copy. He's like, you know what, I want to do other stuff first before we play that. I think he also wants to sort of replicate the idea of the Game Grumps program, because they did a play of Mickey Mousecapade that is something he always holds on to as far as, like, a great piece of clarity. So I think in that case he wants to maybe have the Super Old Game Saturday perspective of that a little bit. So it's like, okay, fine, like, I bought a copy of that specific so we can do it. So at some point that'll be on the table, and other Disney stuff, for sure. As we're in the Winter Wonderland area. very peaceful, or as Chasm22 said when we looked at this about an hour or so ago, almost looks like a Kirby level, which it definitely does as far as like the wintry areas of that. Good, because we're getting into the wintry season with the cold weather starting now, depending on where you're at, or depending also where you're at, it might be snowing already. It might be blizzard conditions, which I've seen, I believe that's up in Buffalo, New York. It was like, yeah, there's, also you do have, one thing I forgot to mention, you do have the grapes, which are the same as the apples or the berries, but they just, I think, give you fewer points. The apples, I think, are worth 500 each, and these are worth 200. Oh, yes. All right, so Donovan, you know what that perspective is. As far as stuff like the snow and the ice, in this case, you do want to use the firefighters so you can freeze the ice blocks. 5 feet, which closed the New York Thruway. Wow, okay, definitely something to be said about that. I can imagine the idea of, like, you know, 5 feet of snow running, and we're still in about mid-November, so it's like, yeah, we're getting to that element. Although, in a lot of cases, the fact that usually upper state New York tends to, from what I understood, have a lot of snow. I mean, in some ways, maybe it's just avoidable because it's like a mountainy area. But even then, the thought of, like, sometimes it seems like it's more and more each year, and the question of, oh, people being buried out. In fact, I remember, it's crazy. Yeah, it is crazy. One of my coworkers actually mentioning this, and is like, what's the idea of handling that? They couldn't go out of their house, lake effect snow, or they couldn't even go out the front doors. So I said, what are they supposed to do? I said, well, one thing I guess would be use the window. Just go out the window, specific as far as that. Alright, yeah, we're fighting the, I guess the Walrus Pete guy here. Yeah, he throws way more of these on hard. We're pointing that out. And you can freeze him with the firefighter outfit. Yeah, something to be said about that. And I guess also the other thing is that, hey, with snow coming around, assuming you didn't lose power, as far as, like, ever, as far as when that is, you also might have an element to play games during it, maybe. Or, fine, if you have a portable unit, you can play games on it during really anything, so that's fine. I mean, you can play this game on Game Boy Advance, for sure. My friend in Canada has a case of it where there's so much snow it's going out the roof, or they go out the roof. Okay, so they're taking that advice. Definitely something interesting in that, for sure. Being able to say, like, what are you going to do about that? Which I guess, now, okay, I'll think about this as far as, like, gaming with snow. Well, I guess gaming in snow, or playing games when there's massive amounts of snow. Well, I mean, I guess a lot of my memories of that tend to be, one of the most vivid, in my case, I remember is actually, I rented Banjo-Tooie for N64 from from a video store of mine, a local video store. And I remember there was a blizzard, I think it was like 3 feet of snow. I think I passed the rental period. It's like, you know, fine, we're not going to charge you rental period for that. Because, like, look, we weren't open either. We couldn't go out to that. But I kept playing that game. I still remember in that one getting out to Hailfire Peaks, which is the area that is kind of the snowy mountain in that. Well, fine, the snowy mountain and the volcano, so it's a little bit of both. If you ever played Banjo-Tooie. And then I was, like, walking around the house when that was happening, just whistling the theme of the song, the and I do associate that way for that ongoing that when we get to play Banjo-Tooie, which will not be before we play Banjo-Kazooie, the first one, and it also will not be before we play Donkey Kong 64. I mean, I don't know if I indicated this. Edwag is going to be playing Banjo-Kazooie for us at some point next year, I think is going to be what it's looking like. We are going to play Donkey Kong 64 before we play Banjo-Tooie, because I have a point I want to make in terms of the idea of the backtracking that Banjo-Tooie asks of you compared to Donkey Kong 64, which, yeah, there's stories to be said about Donkey Kong 64 with that for sure. I guess with Mickey, now I'm thinking about this, like the collectathon platform, I guess the closest was Epic Mickey a little bit, but even then, it's not exactly the same thing. Because in that case, it's more about kind of going around, I guess, using your paint and thinner. If anyone in the chat's played Epic Mickey, ow, damn. Also, he takes a lot of damage, especially with the firefighter outfit. Which, you know, I think I'll tell you how I'll handle this. Switch Mickey here, switch out the Magician. We're on the Magician when he's not shooting stuff. I can remember, since they will pause when you do a switch of your power, just take that, use that to your advantage. Ow. And also use your invincibility frames here to your advantage, too. Yeah, it's like, this is probably gonna be the fastest way to handle it. Okay, good. Also, you do have to charge it up the whole way, otherwise it will not go across the whole screen. Yeah, I think without the firefighter thing... Okay, fine. I can just run the firefighter now in this case, because, yeah, when he's in a pink state, that means he's close to dying. But I'm also close to dying, so I have to be careful. No! Alright, fine, we'll have to try this. Yeah, this is not an easy boss, because it's really hard to get the pattern down, and, let me just make sure of this. It did, give me back energy for this, didn't it? Yes, it did. Okay. Yeah, no, I want to switch my, powers out. Just so it'll be in the right order. In the right order so I can quickly switch them. Alright, there we go. Alright, so Magician to start, and then we'll, actually, the other thing I guess I could do is I can go into the divot a little bit. Oh. Well, in that case, I didn't necessarily want to do that to him. But yeah, depending on how you move, you could sort of... You know, alright. Ow. Yeah, also running out of energy, because whenever you get hit when you're doing a charge on that, you lose the energy that you were shooting up. It just fires out. Alright, fine, I'm out. So I was like, fine, I'll have to just use the firefighter. Which does go down quicker, or not as quick, I should say, with the power. It just doesn't do as much damage. So there's definitely a bit of a balance this way. Also, because he'll shoot out where you're currently standing, you can also sort of manipulate that. Jumping out of the area. Okay. You just jump and fire, or the hose. And you can shoot in the air. Right, come on. Okay, got him. Thank God. Yeah, and here's the way to get him. Like, fine, he's doing the ski, or the slide down, and he's done. Yeah, finally we're in the spotlight, we're all set. Alright, yeah, salute there, and we were out of Snowy Valley, and we were on to the last level. Yeah, it's not a long game, but as I said, it does have a lot of variety that you kind of would want to play through it a couple times, and run the different difficulties, so I guess it goes a nice, adjustment that way, where they change enough for it that you do have to kind of change how your strategy is going to be when you play it. I like the colors. Yeah, that's another thing. This game is gorgeous in terms of the color that's running, and it utilizes the Super Nintendo's color palette really nicely. And Capcom, who developed this, they always tend to do an element of that when they run their elements of colors, which we saw with the Final Fight games they did. We played Final Fight 2 back in January, which actually a lot of people did the music for that, worked on this. And we're playing a Capcom game in... Well, actually, playing Capcom games in 3 and 4 weeks, because we're playing Mega Man X4, and then we're playing Final Fight 3 afterwards, or the week after, I should say. But yeah, the color as well, because, hey, that's the idea with Mickey Mouse, thought of, you know, that element. Although I will say, Mickey's sprite looks a little weird. Also, it doesn't really have much animation to it compared to Castle of Illusion or some other things, but that being said, it still looks really nice, and also the way they vary it, I think, is just the fact of the outfit. It just looks cool, the idea of, like, him looking like Robin Hood with the hat that way, but also Rad Spencer from Bionic Commando, which this is a reference to, without a question. Although I don't know if I could actually find anything that indicated explicitly that it was, but I'm looking at this thing. It plays the same way Bionic Commando does in terms of the hook, and the other elements that we saw based on Super Ghouls and Ghosts, which is another franchise. I guess goes to certain aspects of why this game has some difficulty to it. But fair difficulty, for sure. So it's not a case of like, oh, it's going to be completely demoralizing. That's Ghosts and Goblins. Although, even Ghosts and Goblins, they give you infinite continues. Actually, I was mentioning that with my coworkers this week, because I started practicing for Contra Hardcore, which we're doing next September. That game is insanely, insanely difficult, but I want to be ready for playing that so that we'll be able to show it. It is a good game, it's just nuts in terms of how hard it is, to the point where actually I played through the Japanese version to start, which has a 70 lives code. I don't think the US version does. So I can't really even cheat necessarily for the US for that one. But the Japanese version is in It's on Switch Online, I believe. Yeah, it's on Switch Online expansion pack. I don't remember if it's the Contra Legacy Collection or the Contra Anniversary Collection, which I have the Switch version of. But it's something I was doing a lot of practice. Also, I know that game has multiple endings, so I gotta get a sense of how that's operating. In fact, it was interesting when I was playing the Japanese version without knowing any context of the story of this game. I was just coming up with, like, what are they saying for the Japanese dialogue? Because although I used to have a proficiency with speaking the language, that is years behind me. And I need to get back into that. Actually, Edwack has a little bit of familiarity. He's reading off the hiragana and katakana of the dialogue. And he's like, oh, I can like Richina, and he says like, oh, that's kanji. He's like, yeah, because kanji's insanely hard to read if you're familiar with Japanese or Chinese, really, because it's kind of used a little bit for both, and it's kind of used interchangeably. Oh shit! Yeah, because unfortunately, that's the other thing. The spikes will kill you in one hit. So it's like Mega Man, which is fitting because Capcom made Mega Man as well, and a lot of people worked on some of the Mega Man games worked on this. Let's try again. Is that the good news also with the Infinite Continues is that when you die and get a game over, it puts you back at the level you were on, and I think the screen you were on. No, wait, no, it's the section, because it goes in sections like 6-1, 6-2, 6-3. So at that point, it is fair that way. It's beautiful, the characters of the Japanese language. Yeah, that's true that way, but the thing about Contra Hardcore, to go to that, I forgot it had multiple endings, number one. And I got to this one point, the Crusader64 said, I said, which one should I pick? He's like, pick the bottom one. It's the bad ending, and you get a game over instantly. So like, because we just saw the head of my character. I was like, wait. I was like, oh my god, you got to get I lost the game for you. It's like you got a game over. Like, I don't know, maybe it's something else. And it shows game over. I was like, I was right. It was fucking right. It's like, it's what he always says. He says that I go into this case of predicting something's gonna happen, and then it happens, and it's just a shock. They're like, wait a minute, I don't know anything about this, but it just ends up turning right. That's, I guess, kind of what that was, a little, but somewhere in the middle. But point is, I know we gotta show off multiple those endings for that game, and understand in English. So I said, I've already started practicing that game. So that's a game where it has, in the US, there's one-hit kills, and you have limited continues. In the Japanese version, you have a life bar, and there's, limited continues as well, but there's a code for 70 lives, which I was able to get to the end of the game with, but I know for running that game, I think we need to see elements of that, but I will say this with Contra, well, that Contra and really any Contra, any really good Contra anyway, is that I did get the sense I was getting better because I was paying attention to what the patterns are, which, if there's anything I can say about Contra as a franchise, and you could say this with actually a lot of games of this era too, this one, we'll see this with the boss we're gonna have here. The idea that it's kind of about a pattern memorization and then getting a sense of being able to execute that pattern well enough, and I might have screwed myself up. Okay, no I haven't, because yeah, you can use the fire arrows to move the gray blocks. Ow. And also the fact they have unique animations for each of the costumes, that's cool, because he grabs his hat, his fireman's hat, is like, yeah, it's coming off when he gets hit by the cannonball. But in that case, yeah, no, it's not. Yeah, we met it. But as I said, I want to be ready for that game, and it was interesting seeing the idea of, like, the language that way, or the language indication for it. Oh, right, this is one of the, boss doors. Which one's this? Okay, it's this one. Actually, I could show the, Ghouls and Ghosts element, or the Ghosts and Goblins element off again. Yeah, because this character is like Firebrand, the, gargoyle from, well, Super Ghouls and Ghosts specifically, Demon's Crest, and, the Gargoyles Quest games, of which, I guess to go to that, I have Demon's Crest on Switch Online, and he's dead, because this thing is really strong, but I'm out of power for it. I downloaded Gargoyles Quest 2 from NES, which is insanely rare. I have it on Wii U Virtual Console. I have, the Game Boy one, which is, what is it? Gargoyles Quest, that's just what it's called. It's also expensive. I gotta figure when I'm gonna do, I guess modding my 3DS so I can show stuff on that. I got some expensive stuff on that I would love to show off. Alright. But, yeah, so that's kind of a reference to that, and you can kind of tell it is an interesting thing when you think about the idea of this Mickey Mouse game being a little darker with certain things, me somehow having more health on hard now than I did when I played through on normal about an hour ago. But it just showed that idea of, like, the mix of stuff that, yeah, this is something that's friendly or family-friendly and able to be played really by anyone, but also something that you can play it on hard to get more of a challenge, or even more of a challenge on its own. And then also have the darker elements, yeah, blow him away with the water. I'm running out of my juice for this. Yeah, let's, I'll have to think about this. Yeah, let's run the firefighter outfit to start on, final boss. Yeah, this is Pete, by the way. Or he will be Pete in just a second. Because I mentioned he looks like Astaroth is the final boss of, actually, Ghosts and Goblins, I think, well, there's a different take on that for Super Ghouls and Ghosts and for Ghouls and Ghosts, which are, different games, both of them, technically. Actually, also, in this case, I kind of want to avoid him. Yeah, I'm waiting for, yeah, them to come out so I can get more ammo for my, fire hose. Ow. Alright, come on. Yeah, by the way, he's invincible when he does the thing with the hand, so I don't hit him then. Alright, there we go. Yeah, Pete will do the stuff with the hands, and he'll do something. He'll have those, things come out of the wall. You have to use the fire hose or use the magician outfit to blast him away. Alrighty, woo. Actually, one other thing, I guess, going back, since, Dolphin, you're mentioning this, the idea of, like, the Japanese language, the way the characters are looking. We were mentioning the fact that this game is a trilogy of games, and the third one was only released in Japan, weirdly enough. And actually, there are a lot of... I'll indicate this. I think it was an episode of, SNES Drunk, which is a show I sometimes watch on YouTube. I'll put a link to this. Of all the Disney games that Super Nintendo had, or Super Famicom had, there are actually a lot of, Disney games that Japan got only, that we didn't get. And the third game in this franchise was one of them until they ported it to Game Boy Advance, and now the Game Boy Advance version is so hard to find, I can't even find a listing on eBay for it. So we'll get a reproduction of the Super Famicom edition for the purpose of running the show. Alright, come on. You know, I'll get this out because it'll do more damage. Well, I guess this is reinforcing one thing, which, as I said earlier, I think you have more, fine. The Magician outfit causes more damage anyway, and I'm out of juice for it already. So yeah, we're all fire hosing this baby. But it does more damage with that, power-up I bought when we played it for the normal run. Alright. Ow. Yeah, I might not get out of this alive. Okay, it's probably better than, so I can at least have my, magic power, so you can just shoot him out quick. And we'll start here. Even if you get a game over, you start here. So it is going to be a little fair that way. But it's also something that, yeah, it's not going to be... Here's the thing, as I mentioned sometimes with challenging game, it's not going to be, you know, robbing challenge of you. You still have to beat this boss. You still have to understand what the pattern is. You still have to understand when he does that. When I first saw that, like, wait a second, I'm going to get crushed against the wall. It's not going to kill me instantly, but I'd be ready for that when he does it. And crouch down so that I can be ready for it. Alright, there you go. And wait for those to come down, because this is the only way to recover your ammo. Ow! Oh, come on. I believe it is random what the pattern is of what he shoots out. Oh wait, did I get... Wait, okay, what I hit? I was gonna say, I'll have to look back and it looked like I got hit by... I guess I got hit by the platform thingy that came down. I thought I, like, got hit by fall damage. I know there's not fall damage in this game. So I was like, yeah, it can't be that. I probably got hit by that when it ran last time. Alright, come on. Alright, yeah, this is sort of his next phase. Okay, now it is, also because he's changed color. So we're getting close. He'll throw out those fire, which the fireballs, or the fire... Well, fine, the fire in his hands, but also the fire coming out of the floor. And he has the energy bolt, which he hasn't shown yet. Okay, there's the energy bolt. It does go across the floor. Alright, we almost have him. Ow! Yeah, in this case, Pete's not screwing around. Alright, but I got him. Alright, so he's a WoW. Yeah, definitely a WoW case with looking at him and going back to the thing with the colors and the design, which is really interesting. But alright, the whole point of this game plot was we had to save Pluto. Here he is. Yeah, you're gonna be just fine. Here you are, so yeah. Let's get home. So as we saw Pluto rescued in his way with Mickey Mania and also with this game. Yeah, of course, yeah, my beloved dog is giving me the lick. And, yeah, I'm waking up on bed, so what happened? Well, there's Donald Duck. He's in this game only in the cutscenes. He's going to be playable in the third game, which is Mickey Toad Donald Magical Adventure 3. And we saw Goofy earlier. Yeah, but it was just a dream. But still, it got Mickey ready for stuff, so he can handle this no problem. And the next game in this franchise also will see Minnie Mouse. And she's in the Game Boy Advance support of this, by the way. Which might be the best version if you're kind of on the frame rate elements of this, but there's certain concessions it has. The sound definitely sounds a bit different because there's a lot of 8-bit sound channels the Game Boy Advance runs. So it does sound a little more high-pitched in some ways. That might be a bit of a acquired taste, but it does have more content as multiplayer, there's connectivity with the Magical Mirror game on GameCube, specifically that idea. Don won't making only a cameo. That's true. Well, here's the thing, because remember, he's fine with it, sort of. Actually, when you think about it, here's the interesting thing. The Donald Duck games on Super Famicom, Super Nintendo, the only one he's... Actually, we didn't get any of those, I don't think, in the US initially. That would be World of Illusion on Genesis that he was playable in. And actually a lot of the Sega stuff. I mentioned the Lucky Dime Caper and Deep Duck Trouble on Game Gear. But he also has cameo in Mickey's Ultimate Challenge. He can be a curmudgeon, but in Magical Quest 3, he is playable. And there is a Donald game. Actually, no, there is a Donald game that came out for us. I forgot. It's kind of a different take on Donald Duck. I don't know if you ever played it. It's called, what is it called? It's Maui Mallard in Cold Shadow. Which, that was a weird one because it came out on Super Nintendo exclusively in the US. It came out on the Genesis in Europe only, with the Mega Drive over there, specific as far as their element of the Genesis. In that case, that's an interesting game too. It's a hard one, because in that case, if you ever played that game, feel free to let me know if you have. In Maui Mallard, you're playing like a alter ego of Donald Duck, two of them, where he's like a detective wearing like a Hawaiian shirt. And he has, like, pop guns he's shooting off. But then he runs into the ability to kind of become a ninja. He becomes Cold Shadow. Or Darkwing Duck. I prefer Darkwing Duck. And there's games on Darkwing Duck. There's the one on NES and Game Boy. I have that NES version in the Disney Afternoon Collection. We can definitely do that. Yeah, we'll definitely have to do the Darkwing Duck game, which is like Mega Man. Actually, it's by Capcom as well. So Capcom was definitely doing a bunch of stuff with Disney as it was. And a lot of really good stuff with it. And Darkwing Duck being a really good one. It's very much like Mega Man, as far as how it is. And, I'm trying to think as far as, well, fine, that element, well, fine, there's one, Darkwing Duck game I hear is horrible, which is, it's on the TurboGrafx 16, which is insanely hard to find. I'm kind of surprised that, there's a licensed game on that system. There's not many. There's also a game based on Tailspin on TurboGrafx 16, and Capcom made the NES game, and Sega made a version on Game Gear and Genesis. But, you know, I'll tell you what we'll do. So we're basically near the end of this game. I gotta go into my final thoughts. We're gonna go back into the story. Fine, not in the story of the game. We're gonna go on the first level and let the music listen. But yeah, it was definitely interesting seeing that as far as some of those things. But yeah, that Darkwing Duck game I hear is supposed to be awful on TurboGrafx 16, which is shocking. He's like, hey, you'd like that idea of what it is. But that Capcom game is awesome. We'll definitely play that. And I guess going into elements of this game, I guess my final thoughts on this game. This is, as I mentioned, not a game I've played as much as some other ones. You know, let's go into the level, because we did hear the great bombastic music score of the treetops. Or the cloud tops, as you say. Well, I'll talk about, you know, your color and, you know, visual explosion. There you go, look at that. Also, here comes the enemy. Yeah, you know what? Let's get rid of the enemy. Bye-bye. Yeah, toss him away. This is a beautiful stuff. Yeah, to go with my final thoughts on the game, I didn't grow up with this game as other people did. I know ElecVerse said, this is my childhood here, and I hope it did justice, even though I was dying a decent amount. But it is a great game. I get why people love this game. As I'm mentioning, actually, I'll go back to one thing I was mentioning earlier in the show. This is a game that a lot of people like this game. It sold well. It went on to get us a couple other sequels. The Great Circus Mystery, which will be the next game in this enterprise we're going to play. For this, anyway. And then the Magical Quest 3 that Japan got. But I was mentioning earlier on that Nintendo Power's 100th issue voted this as the 80th best game of all time, which was in 1997 when they did that, admittingly. But yeah, it goes to that idea of just how polished and how magical this game is. It is a magical game. I guess my final thoughts of this game is, it definitely is not easy to come to as in some ways, as far as, approachability, I guess, with certain elements of it, but it's the kind of thing that it's not insanely hard as far as how it is. Just that it'll definitely kick your ass in certain ways, but it's also something that is approachable in the sense that, yeah, look, it's Mickey Mouse, I want to play it. It controls well, it looks terrific, it sounds great. It's also a case where the difficulty is, it's very gradual in terms of how it handles it, and it's also something that it's going to be your fault when you screw up. It's not a case where I ever said of this game, oh, I was cheated. I did this. I made the mistake. I was being too reckless. I also was like, well, let's show this off because this looks cool. It's flying up in the air with that, and eventually that bud will burst, and then back to Earth Mickey comes. But it's good stuff, and I said, oh, right, there's regenerating enemies. Forgot about that, so yeah. And you pick up the enemies, yeah, just toss them away. Bye-bye. But yeah, as I said, that was, yeah, it was something that a lot of people really like, and I really like it too. I've had a great time playing this game for the practice I was doing, and also show it off for the show, because I said we definitely was fair to do this, because yeah, 30 years ago, today, or tomorrow today for Japan, tomorrow for the US, so actually I guess in about 2 hours, it'll be 30 years to the day of the release of this game, and it definitely lives up to its title. It is a magical quest. It looks, sounds, and plays terrifically. It is not an expensive one if you have not played this. I would definitely recommend you play it. It's only like $15, $20 on the Super Nintendo. The Game Boy Advance version is a little more, it's like $30. It does have extra content, and if you have problems with the frame rate in this game in certain elements, the fact that it can be a little choppy, as I said, we're living in a world now where you have Pokemon Scarlet and Violet where, yeah, that game is basically broken. Nintendo and Game Freak should not have released it. They should be ashamed of themselves. Yeah, it's still getting good reviews and people are buying it no matter what, but yeah. Nocturne's got some choice words from me saying that, I think, because she's one of the people who bought it. I haven't talked to her, seeing what she thinks of it, but yeah, she, I guess, can give her perspective to that in a couple weeks when she's on the show. As I said, if you want to play this game, it is a great game. It's on Super Nintendo and Advance. Advanced version fixes the frame rate, adds a couple extra things. It's also on Sega Genesis, or it's going to be on Sega Genesis. They ditched it and said we're just going to make the sequel for Genesis. And next time we come back to the Magical Quest universe, we will play that sequel, I guess, which is going to be The Great Circus Mystery. I might do both, because there's some slight differences between them, a little bit. But, yeah, that's the one we'll play. And actually, go with one thing. ElecVerse, I know you mentioned when we did Final Fight 2 earlier in the year. I guess we could also show what happens with time over, because I actually haven't shown what that is. Usually have more than enough time, it's not going to be an issue. I know you asked, is the Magical Tetris Challenge game from Capcom, is that based in this universe, of which, from what I saw, I don't think it is, but it's also something that you could kind of make a case that potentially, a little, and it's one I definitely like to play. I'll definitely get that at some point, because that's a terrific game for the Nintendo 64. But it was an arcade game, and it was also on PlayStation, and it's on Game Boy Color, where actually, it's really good on the Game Boy Color. I've seen the run of that on being played. Actually, I'll put this in the link list as well. There's this show I watch called Retro Pals. Actually, they do what I do in the sense that they, it's a married couple out of Texas where they will play retro games and kind of go into discussion for it. Actually, in fact, I will say this. St. Aspartame, who I've mentioned on the show, someone I know, he has actually been on the chat on many of their programs, because that's a fitting one for him, for sure. So you want to get that element. Actually, the Midway show they did, he had a pretty hilarious element of how he's handling or talking about California Speed on Nintendo 64 for that. I'll put links to both of those, but they did a look at the Game Boy Color version of this against the Nintendo 64 game, and they're pretty great. But both, I didn't play the Game Boy Color version, but that Nintendo 64 game is sublime. So it definitely is a nice one, and next time we come back to this franchise, as far as it's going to be, well, we'll play that for sure. Whether it's in the universe of this or not, it doesn't matter. We'll definitely play it, because it's a good game for sure. And Great Circus Mystery, which is on Super Nintendo and Sega Genesis, and it got a Game Boy Advance version as well. Alright, so I think with that, actually, okay, fine, one thing, I promised this earlier, because I said I literally have my issue 100 of Nintendo Power still holding on after 25 years. We may as well, just to give a little something extra so we can get a 3-hour show out of this. I'm going to go through a list of all the games that in 1997 they said were the best games of all time. Just to go into this, because it might be a question of, like, how much has that gone or not? That's great. Well, this is something a little extra. And I was thinking about this, like, what should I be doing as something extra? Just sitting here is like, yeah, I can make this one. And chat, feel free to say, like, to have boos or cheers when you hear some of these, while you're thinking what they are. I won't necessarily read out the blurbs to them, although one thing I will put in the link list too. There's basically an archiving of every issue of Nintendo Power, which ended, by the way, actually 10 years ago this month. They've basically all been archived online. I will put a link to that, so issue 100 will be there. But yeah, let's go down the list as far as what they were. Alright, number 100 was Alien 3 for Super Nintendo. Number 9 was Ultima 4 Quest of the Avatar for the NES. 98 was Super Tetris for Super Nintendo. 97 was another Capcom joint, Final Fight for Super Nintendo. 96 was Bust-A-Move for Super Nintendo. 95 was Kickle Cubicle, which is by Irem, for the NES. 94 was True Golf Classics Pebble Beach Golf Links, which is on the Super Nintendo by Keen Soft. Tetris. Yeah, we'll talk about Tetris, because remember, we're playing a Tetris game in about a month, so we'll definitely get into that element, and Tetris is on here. We'll find out where it is. 93 was Gargoyle's Quest, which I mentioned, which, the archives of them are gone already. I guess what? Did they say, like, that's a weird case, because, I mean, I don't know how licensing goes that. I'll dig out. I'm pretty sure I found other archives. I'll find something, because there's definitely some interesting stuff to this. Actually, I'll tell you, some of the edits I've done for certain things, like with the Parasite Eve case, when I had to edit in the letter that somebody said saying about how I aced a paper in biology because of that game, that's how I found it. I'll look for something for this. So I guess if that's gone, thank you for letting me know that. ElecVerse will make the look at this easier. Alright, 92 is... I was trying to find the Mickey Mouse cover. I'll find the Mickey Mouse cover for this game, because, yeah, like I first mentioned this earlier, there's a cover from, actually for that. That was issue, and actually in this magazine, I will look for this, they actually marked the pages specific for, the specific games for it. That issue was issue... hang on. Yeah, because basically for each number page, they have the issue in the lower left or right-hand corner of the page. Let me find this, and then I'll go through the rest of the 100, and then we will go with the schedule, and I'll bid you good night. Let's see. So 1982, Felix the Cat, Super Mario Kart, Super Star Wars, Roadrunner Death Valley Rally. Here we go. Okay, so it was Volume 44, where Mickey Mouse has the, it was their annual bonus issue. They put this out in January of each year, where Mickey Mouse had the, fire hose on that. I definitely will have a picture for that in the link list. I know I can find it. I saw something with it when I was looking at, doing the research on this game. Oh, well, the timer's going down. I was like, okay, I never heard the sound of this going down. They said, you have to try to, let the timer go down. But that's fine. When I die, I will also, just get rid of the enemy there. But yeah, that is on page 44 of this magazine that has the preview of, Mortal Kombat Mythology Sub-Zero. Yeah, not a great game, especially not on Nintendo 64. We'll play it on the PlayStation. If you're gonna play that game, you play it on the PlayStation. I'll say that. Alright, so yeah, Mickey's dead, but don't worry. Oh, time over, so it's like Sonic the Hedgehog that way. Alright, so yeah, action again. Bye-bye. Let me just get rid of him off the side. Okay, so... Alright, so yeah. I went to 100, I did 93. 92 was... Oh, there's another enemy. Alright, he's just walking past and falling down the cloud. Okay, that's cool. 92 is a game I mentioned before, Ogre Battle, March of the Black Queen for the Super Nintendo, which I have on Virtual Console. Actually, I guess I may as well mention which ones I have and don't have as far as this. Final Fight, we didn't play on Super Nintendo, play the arcade game, but we have video that I'll link to that. I have Gargoyle's Quest on 3DS Virtual Console, I'll see if we can play that. Ogre Battle, I have on Wii Virtual Console. Luffy and the Fortress of Doom was at 91 for the Super Nintendo. That's one that the Crusader 64, that's a near and dear one to his heart. We're gonna play the second game, though, to start, Rise of the Sinistrals, because it's actually technically the first game chronologically. Him and Emetics gonna be involved in that, we're figuring what that is. Number 90 is Demon's Crest, which is, a spin-off of Super Ghouls and Ghosts, and the people who made Super Ghouls and Ghosts from Capcom made this as well. 89 is Battletoads. 88 is Baseball Stars. Battletoads is NES specific. Baseball Stars is NES as well. 87 is Goonies 2 from Konami for the NES. 86 was Blackthorn from Blizzard for the Super Nintendo, that's on a bunch of things, and there's a collection that has it. 85 is Illusion of Gaia for Super Nintendo, that's another one they like for... Or no, I don't like first if you love Illusion of Gaia. The Crusader 64 loved that game too. 84 is Metal Gear on NES from Konami. 83 is Dragon Warrior 4, Dragon Quest 4 on NES. 82 is Breath of Fire, there's a lot of Capcom stuff, by the way, on this for Super Nintendo. 81 is Faceball 2000, where they mentioned the fact that that Game Boy version gives you 16-player multiplayer, if you can run it right. 80 is the game you're looking at right here, the Magical Quest starring Mickey Mouse for Super Nintendo. 79 is Chip 'n Dale Rescue Rangers, also from Capcom for NES. That's a great game. 78 is Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, Turtles in Time for Super Nintendo. 77, NBA Live 95 for Super Nintendo. 76 is Gradius 3. Yeah, okay, so you're loving what you're hearing as far as this Dolly Fin for sure. And hopefully I'm making this interesting by, like, reading part of a magazine, because there's a lot of reading in this, but something unique. Also, because this game is short, that's the other reason. I want to at least give something just a little substantial. 75 is Super Ghouls and Ghosts for Super Nintendo, so people who made this game made that one as well. 74 is a game that's near and dear to Nocturne's heart. That is RC Pro-Am for NES. Chip 'n Dale Rescue Rangers. Yeah, we'll do that. We're going to do that game. Trust me, we'll definitely do that. And I have its sequel in the Disney Afternoon Collection. It's like a $400 game now. Those are cool ones. As I mentioned, I think we should make an annual tradition. We do a Disney game on this weekend, the weekend before Thanksgiving. But as I said, we won't just limit it that way. It won't just be, oh, we're just going to do Disney game then. So, yeah, any of those requests, feel free to go into that, and I'll pick another one for next year. But as we go along, we'll definitely hit more stuff of Disney as it is. 73 is Shadowgate on NES. 72 is Killer Instinct for Super Nintendo. 71 is, actually the next Super Mario Land game we're going to be playing, Wario Land, Super Mario Land 3. 70 is Final Fantasy Legend for Game Boy. 69 is Double Dragon for NES. There's also the 10 worst games of all time. I'm going at the end, I guess, as well. 68 is Zombies Ate My Neighbors for Super Nintendo from LucasArts. 67 is Wayne Gretzky's 3D Hockey for the Nintendo 64. I'm definitely going to play that. That game is so good. 66 is Final Fantasy Adventure for Game Boy. 65 is Earthworm Jim 2 for Super Nintendo. 64 is a game I know Medix loves, Star Tropics on the NES. 63 is Blaster Master from Sunsoft for NES. 62 is Blast Corps for Nintendo 64, which we played. 61 is Maniac Mansion from LucasArts for NES. 60 is Earthbound for Super Nintendo, which we're going to play next year. That's going to be the RPG we do after Lunar Silver Star Story Complete. Gemini 96 is going to be joining me on that one. He loves that game, so that's all his. 59 is Crystallis from SNK for NES. 58 is Mega Man X for Super Nintendo. 57 is Actraiser on Super Nintendo. God, I love Actraiser so much. I'm so happy to have seen that on the list. 56 is Super Castlevania 4 for the Super Nintendo. 55 is Bionic Commando, which we indicated the element with the climbing gear here with Mickey here in this game. 54 is Killer Instinct Gold for Nintendo 64. 53 is Mortal Kombat 2 for the Super Nintendo. 52 is Contra, the first one on NES. 51 is Golf, the Game Boy version, it's also on NES. 50 is Tetrasphere for the Nintendo 64. This is actually right when that game came out, when they said that. We'll play Tetrasphere for sure. I'll figure that next year, because I bought it last year. I said, I know ElecVerse wanted to see that. Actually, I remember I was getting my... I'm trying to think about how this operated. Right, I'll tell you, I was waiting in the waiting area after I got my second COVID shot. And I bought that game off eBay, specific. I made sure to find one that had the instruction manuals. Like, yeah, we're gonna do Tetrasphere for sure for that. We can go into that. 49 is Ninja Gaiden 2 for NES. 48 is Shadowrun for Super Nintendo. 47 is Super Mario Bros. 2 for the NES. 46 is Contra 3, the Alien Wars for the Super Nintendo. As we're pointing out, this is all Nintendo stuff, for sure. But some of this has been Genesis anyway. Dr. Mario is at 45, the Game Boy version specific. 44 is The Adventures of Lolo, which is by HAL, who made Kirby for the NES. 43 is Street Fighter 2, The World Warrior for the Super Nintendo. Again, we're getting a lot of Capcom stuff. Basically just mentioning games we can and should play if we have not played them yet. 42 is Secret of Mana for the Super Nintendo from Square. 41 is Shadows of the Empire, Star Wars Shadows of the Empire for Nintendo 64. I'll have to mute music on that, but that's an interesting one for sure. 40 is SimCity, the Super Nintendo edition of that. 39 is Donkey Kong Country, which we played for Super Nintendo. 38 is my beloved Piling 64. I'm very happy to have that, seeing that there. 37 is Final Fantasy 1 for the NES. 36 is Zelda 2 Adventure of Link for NES. 35 is Metroid for NES. 34 is Metroid 2 Return of Samus. Kapow, yeah, we're getting tons of these things going along. 33 is Donkey Kong Country 2 for the Super Nintendo, which played that before. 32 is Super Mario Kart, which celebrated its 30th anniversary a couple months ago. 31 is, well, they say Punch-Out starring Mr. Dream, or featuring Mr. Dream, but Mike Tyson's Punch-Out on NES. I'll try and get that Mike Tyson version if I can when we play that, because that game is awesome. 30 is Tecmo Bowl for the NES. I love that game. Ready, down, hoot, 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 hoot. I do love that game. That's one of my favorite football games ever made. 29 is Mario Paint for the Super Nintendo. I love Mario Kart. Yeah, Donovan, I agree with you. For sure. And this is a time when there are only 2 of them out. Imagine now, like, there's tons. Yeah, we'll definitely do something with Mario Kart. I think we should start with that Super Nintendo game. At some point, we'll definitely do that. 28 is NBA Jam for the Super Nintendo. 27 is the game I mentioned before, International Superstar Soccer 64 from Konami. I have that. That's actually a really good game. 26 is Super Bomberman 2 for Super Nintendo. When we start Bomberman on the show, we're going to do Bomberman World on PlayStation. We're doing that in July. I will just announce that now, because it'll be 4 years since the Bomberman start. 25 is Truck Dinosaur Hunter for the Nintendo 64 from Acclaim. 24 is F-Zero, the Super Nintendo game, because F-Zero X did not come out yet. 23 is Donkey Kong Country 3 Dixie Kong's Double Trouble, which we're going to play next year. Like, first, I know you want to see that. You said it's your favorite of the trilogy. We're definitely doing that next year. I guarantee you. 22 is Castlevania for NES. 21 is Super Mario RPG, which I love. I'm very happy to see that there. We played that for the show from Square and Nintendo. 20 is Mega Man 1 for NES. 19... Okay, now we're getting down to the rest of them. So yeah, top 20, Mega Man for NES. Chrono Trigger for the Super Nintendo from Square. Yoshi's Island for the Super Nintendo is at 18. We're definitely going to play that eventually. 17, Dolphin, if you were happy here in Mario Kart, or Super Mario Kart, 17 is Tetris Attack for Super Nintendo, which we played, and I had a great time playing that game with you. As it, eventually we'll play that again for the puzzle mode and do other stuff as far as it, but yeah, I'm very happy to see that game there. 16 was Super Mario World on the Super Nintendo, not on NES. Oh, we're running out of time again. That's fine, doesn't matter. 15 is Wave Race 64, which we played. That's a wonderful game for Nintendo 64. 14 is Super Mario Brothers for the NES. 13 is Star Fox 64 for Nintendo 64, which we played. 12 is The Legend of Zelda Link's Awakening. We're going to play that next year. It's celebrating its 30th anniversary while Mickey dies again. But don't worry, Mickey, we still love you. I still have to figure out which version we're going to do. I think we'll mostly do Switch, and I'll show off some stuff with yeah, since they come with multiple parts, I might be able to show off some stuff with the Game Boy Color Edition specific to it. Yeah, well, pick him up. Trying to pick him up. I was walking next to him, picking hitting Y button, it wasn't doing anything. Maybe it was off a little bit. Fine, walk away. Let's see. 11 was The Legend of Zelda on NES, and now we're getting to the top 10. Alright, so 10. Number 10, Super Street Fighter 2 Turbo for the Super Nintendo. Number 9, Final Fantasy 4 for the Super Nintendo as well. Number 8, Final Fantasy 6 for the Super Nintendo. They said, hey, our debate about which one's better, we said it came down to an argument on Opera, and that's what won. 7 is GoldenEye for Nintendo 64, which had just come out, and they're basically saying that it hasn't been around long enough to prove its staying power, even though, like, everybody in this office is saying, like, you know, we love this game, we want to make it number 1. It's like, we can't. Sorry. So, like, nowadays, I guess it's shown its staying power, no question, 25 years out. 6 is Super Metroid for the Super Nintendo. We're definitely going to play that game, because that is a terrific game. That should be the Metroid game we play to start. Number 5 is Super Mario Bros. 3. Nocturne's going to be with me on that one. Talking about games that are your childhood, that is her childhood, in an 8-bit NES cartridge. Number 4 is Mario Kart 64 for the Nintendo 64. And then the top 3, we have Tetris, the Game Boy version specific. Number 2 is Legend of Zelda Link to the Past for the Super Nintendo, and the best game ever made, according to Nintendo Power, in 1997, was Super Mario 64 for the Nintendo 64. So yeah, there you go. A lot of interesting ideas, and yeah, I did justify the idea of sitting around there just reading out parts of a magazine that way. I'll see if I can't find a link, though, so you can see the blurbs of everything. Actually, the one for Gradius, by the way, Gradius 3, is wrong. They actually copied the Mega Man X one by accident. I think a couple of issues later they said, oh, by the way, this wasn't right. This is the one we printed. Or we should have printed. Alright, but there you go. That is our memory of Nintendo Power that way. Referencing this game, for sure. And yeah, that is Magical Quest starring Mickey Mouse, ladies and gentlemen. I'm so happy I was able to play this. ElecVerse, thank you for making this request. Keep any requests you want coming. We'll get to them. We'll definitely have another Disney game this weekend next year. And we'll do other stuff in between. Maybe we'll do Great Circus Mystery. We'll do something else. Whatever you want to do, let me know during the year or in the comment section when we put this on the YouTube site. We'll make it happen. But yeah, with that, that's going to close the show for tonight. I was able to get 3 hours, a little more out of this game, amazingly. But, okay, with that said, let's talk schedule. next week we got a big show, and I got a lot of prep I still have to do for it. We're doing the Dreamcast Racing Showcase, because remember, the Saturday after Thanksgiving, each year, we reflect the idea on this program of what happens when you're with friends or family, you know, having your big Thanksgiving meal. You have a lot of options of what you can eat. Or, hey, a lot of options what you do as far as family or friends, going out places, watching 3 football games that are on the day. Some pretty good games from what I've understood from a lot of football fans in my life. You places you can go. You can go out drinking at a bar or something. You can go to the movies. You can do things. You can go see the Disney movie that's opening on Wednesday, which the name of it escapes me. I'll have a name below what it's called. So we're reflecting that with video games. 2 years ago when we first started this was Protorova kind of spearheading this. He said, I want to see Life Force from Konami. So I said, okay, let's do that. And I said, let's look at this genre, because he said, what happened to this genre? We don't see this anymore. So I said, let's look at a bunch of space shooters. Or flight shooters, I should say. Not just space shooters. A lot in space, but flight shooting games. So I looked at that, and then last year we had fighting games. This year, Dolly Finn's request, we're doing racing games on Dreamcast. I have 20 that I've curated, and ones I was given specific, well, I've won. That was San Francisco Rush 24-9 by the Crochet Nerd 64. We're going to be playing a little bit of a sampler of all 20 of those. It's going to be a jam-packed show for sure, with a lot of games going to show, a lot of licensed content cases I'm going to dance around, but I have my ways to do it, and my ways to give you reflection of those, even if I can't let you hear certain things, like the music in the Crazy Taxi games. I got my way, and I also have, I may as well say this, there's a game at the end of that show you are not going to want to miss. You're going to say, how is this part of it? That will be answered next week. I cannot wait to share the show with you. This is one of my favorite shows to do every year, because it lets us get through a bunch of games that I know people have wanted to see. Not just the genre. I mean, thank you, by the way, Dolly Finn, for making that request as well. Thank you, chat, for being interested in the show enough to make requests like this. And in that case, it gives me, that incentive to say, like, we're going to do it right. Even as I mentioned, with Contra Hardcore, I practiced this game already for September, because, I want to get that game right. I practiced this game all this week, playing through it multiple times just to be ready for the play. Yeah, it's always one of my favorite shows to do, and I'm looking forward to doing it at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time next Saturday for our 3rd annual Thanksgiving Showcase program. The week after that, the Crochet Nerd 64 is coming back on the show. We are getting to the 3rd part of Shadow Hearts for PlayStation 2. We are going to reach what he calls intermission. It is the halfway point for the story. He's saying, can't wait to get there. We're going to play until we get there, so that might be a little more than a 5-hour show. We're going to get there, and we're going to be having we'll be halfway done to the game, so within a few months, we'll be set and we'll be ready to go into the new year, hitting the ground running to finish the rest of the game, or him specifically playing it. I know he's looking forward to that. I know Kazan22 is looking forward to that. I'm looking forward to it, too. I want to see what other things this game has, what other secrets and surprises that are there. The week after that, we have Nocturne coming back on the program with another Capcom game. We're playing Mega Man X4 for the PlayStation, playing it twice, like we did this one, I guess, as well, which is, she's going to play the Japanese version of the game on PlayStation 1 using Zero, her favorite character, I think, in the franchise. And then I'm going to be taking control of the English version as Mega Man X. They're different enough campaigns, they're worth showing both of them. She will show off certain aspects of the Japanese version, including its opening theme that I don't think we'll get content strike for. We'll figure what that's going to look like, as we mentioned on last week's show. And then, in that case, we'll switch to English, and in my case, it'll be time to get serious as I play as X that way, and show the differences that way for that version. And we'll definitely have our fun time going back to Mega Man, and it is going to be a nice case for that. The week after that will be the last Saturday show of the year. There'll be another Capcom game for Super Nintendo. It's going to be Final Fight 3 for the Super Nintendo. We're going to use the Wii U Virtual Console to play it. I will also show, before we start that game, I will show what we were dealing with on the Wii U War Chest. Sounds great. I'm glad you think it sounds great. Wait a second. Here's the thing. We aim to please on this program. For sure. Happy Thanksgiving, everyone. Yeah, I'll definitely extend that. Yeah, because we're coming up to Thanksgiving. We will have had Thanksgiving by the time we do our show next week. But yeah, our celebration is going to be, still going. No problem. Happy Thanksgiving, everyone. Likewise, it definitely sounds like a good thing. That's the thing. We aim to please on the show. Again, that's been an interesting thing, as I mentioned this, which is that when it came to the idea of, what do I want to do with this program? I'll tell you what I'll do, so I don't get another time over. Let's walk over to the house. I'll go in with, actually, because, ElecVerse, you mentioned this, I can indicate this further, or confirm this further. The cutscene does not, you're right. The timer stops for all the cutscenes except the one we saw with Goofy in Stage 4. So, alright, yeah, in that case, we'll have the full element. Yeah, we're looking for our dog, Pluto. We found him twice. We'll probably find Pluto again later, and we'll see him in other games. Hey, we're still looking for Pluto in Kingdom Hearts when we get to, Chain of Memories. But, yeah, either way, that's the idea of it. Well, thank you. Here's the thing. We aim to please on the show, and I think that became the idea of it, which is that, okay, look, I want to show the stuff I have, or some of these other things for it, but then when people came in here saying, I have a memory of this game, I want to see it, I don't think people remember this, or I want to relive something, it kind of gives me a bit of a motivation to do that, and I'll tell you, when it's come to the viewer request, and I said, we're doing one a month this year, and we'll keep doing that, I've loved doing that, because honestly, it's given me a lot of incentive to buy games, or if I don't have them, pick up games just because, hey, people want to see them. And I want to do as much justice to them as you would want to have them done because of your love of them, your interest of them, or whatever it is. And it gives something unique. It makes this a unique show. It's the idea that I could just be sitting here just talking to everybody. I mean, Nocturne said in the chat list, we're saying a one-sided show is something that you have people doing anyway. Sure. And there's cases where there's chat in other shows on Twitch or anywhere, really, which is fine that way. I said, what can we do different? What can I do different? How can I stand out against that? And honestly, all of you in chat made that happen. You say, like, I want to see this. And I don't know if necessarily maybe it's the surprise of thinking that, hey, wait a second, this random guy, maybe people don't know, thinking like, I'll take the suggestion. You're like, well, people want to see Magical Quest. Are anybody want to celebrate this game on its 30th anniversary? I was like, no, I want to do that. I want to celebrate some of the games we have anniversaries coming up for next year. And this year as well for the rest of it, of what we got. So for that way, I think it's become something great that way, and I thank you so much for making that happen, and basically being the driving force of this program. And so in that case, consider my thanks to you, all of you, for the purpose of that. Is it for Final Fight 3, which we're doing in 4 weeks, about now. I will show the Wii U War Chest off, everything I downloaded on Wii U before the shop closure is, so while that was based on cost reason, also stuff that I wanted to show for this. This is fun. I'm going to take off as I keep falling asleep. Alright. Oh, have a wonderful night to you, ElecVerse. I'll finish the schedule really quickly, though, for the purpose of that. I'm looking forward to next week, for sure, for that. And thank you very much for making this such a special show, and for making this request. I appreciate that, for sure. Yeah, the week after Final Fight 3, we have another request of yours, ElecVerse, which is going to be the Friday show. The last two of the year are going to be Friday shows. Tetris Plus on Sega Saturn. We'll have that. And then the week after that, also Friday show, is Rapper the Rapper on the PlayStation. I'm looking forward to playing that as the nice end of 2022. And we're going to get 2023 started right with us continuing, or me starting up again, the Mystical Ninja starring Goemon, or Mystical Ninja starring Goemon, for Nintendo 64 from Konami. Then next part, Shadow Hearts. Friday show on January 20th for Hikaru Man for the PlayStation 2 with Nikki and Edwack. He'll be playing that one specific. And last month of January is going to be Parasite Eve for its finale. I just have to get ready for some BP stuff for Ayabrea, so we don't die in the Chrysler building. We're going to get through that. But yeah, that is what the schedule's looking like. I am so happy for everything that the show has become. Thanks to all of you. I can't thank you enough for this every week. I'm never going to be ceasing in my gratitude for that. I'll keep giving you what you want to have and what you want to see, and get into it and get into these great discussions we always have. So with that, have a great rest of your night, a great rest of your weekend, a great shortened week coming forward, and a happy Thanksgiving for sure as we come up to that in a couple of days. I will see you next Saturday night at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time for our Dreamcast Racing Showcase. 20 games, you are not going to miss it. Thank you so much to you, and it was a great show. Thank you, Dollyfin, and thank you for making a great show. Thank you, ElecVerse and Chasm22 for sure for that. And I am looking forward to next week. Have a wonderful holiday. I'll see you next week. Have a great night, and take care.